You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
All right. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Monero. Oh, look, we already got it. I saw on TV someone talking about Zcash.
Whoa, huge surprise.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're really pulling out all the stops, right? They're even having their mainstream news moments coordinated. Try to keep the ship from sinking. I'll tell you, man. I've never seen a coin put so much effort into a pump, right?
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, other than maybe like Bitcoin itself, but Bitcoin's already big. We know why it got big.
Yeah,
Zcash kind of happened out of nowhere.
Really did, man. Really did.
They did nothing. They did nothing
Yeah.
new. It's not like they came out with some incredible new thing.
Yeah.
It's been the same for the last couple of years, to my knowledge. So,
well, I guess the Zashi thing was kind of a breakthrough. The Zashi with the near intents.
it's kind of more like a footnote in regards to this whole coordinated media push.
What are you saying? Oh, like you mean in terms of that, the impact of that versus
Yeah, I don't think it actually did that much, to be honest with you, because no one used it.
Yeah.
And there is an echo going on. I am hearing myself through your microphone.
Oh, okay.
But mine might be too loud. So if someone give me an audio check in the chat, that'd be appreciated.
Hold on, let me put in send your Monero-based chats to XMRChat.com/MoneroTalk. Yeah, there we go. Guys, send your XMR chats. Come on, let's use Monero. We actually use it around here. We're not just forever hodling digital gold nuggets. Little pieces of property, digital property. We use around here. That is by far the greatest advantage Monero has over any other quote unquote privacy coin. But I always say we can't sit on our laurels, right? We need to continue to use it more and more. Grow. I see it being a growing trend in Monero. I mean, it was always there in my mind, but now I'm seeing other segments of the Monero community start to focus more on that. It really is where we have first mover advantage and where we have traction, and where we need to stay focused. Growing out the peer-to-peer
allegedly
economy.
Use Monero all the time.
Yeah, me too. I mean, in theory, I'm using it all the time, living off of it. Yeah, so I guess we'll bring Bawdy up. He could get into the price action. It's been a crazy roller coaster ride. The whole market dropped out from underneath us, and then the privacy coins kind of stayed elevated, suspended for a little bit because they were so pumped up. Monero had a flash crash, right? I'm sure Bawdy will get into that. It looked like some suspicious things took place on Kraken, right? It was like a low volume, big crash. Somebody got out, somebody dumped. So we'll get into that. And that happened actually before the whole market crashed, which is interesting.
I mean, it's kind of during.
Yeah, I guess it was at the beginning, right? And And then yeah, Zcash. Finally, the rug got pulled out of from under Zcash. So we will see where that goes. I mean, it was a parabolic rise. So I don't know.
I mean, it still is pretty high. I could see them trying to do one more push, but 700 is quite a resistance point right now, and they can't seem to get past it. So
I know. Would have been nice to sell at exactly 700. I did at one point, and then
you've been
listen, man. It's just been funny, Zcash, because it's not Monero, right? So I treat it like something I don't give a shit about. So for the first time, pretty much ever, I'm trading, but now I've moved a chunk into fiat, and we'll take my gains. Never did that with Monero. I mean, other than using it for things, I never cashed out on Monero. I mean, other than like peer-to-peer trades for cash and pay, but I never used the banking system to go back into fiat with Monero.
Same, and it's like a lot of people want to, they want to capitalize on the speculation of Monero, and they also want to spend it. And just like, hey, if you spend it, just replace what you spend, or even replace it with double if you can.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds.
But my point is, I did that with Zcash though, which is, I mean, part of the reason is because Zcash is on the exchanges, it's on Coinbase, so I can do that. So is that for better or worse, right? Obviously, for better, in that it's easier for people to get into it and start trading with it and speculating with it. But it's also easier for them to get out real fast. And they just treat it kind of like more of a speculative investment than Monero, where it's like you have to go out of your way to get it. It's not that easy to obtain. So once you do obtain it, it's like you've done it for a purpose, probably not just to flip it, a week later.
I mean, I think Monero's in a happy middle right now where it's reasonably accessible. It's not like it's not on any exchange, but it's not as liquid as something like Zcash.
Yeah, it's a lot less accessible, man. I mean, I have the New York perspective. That's why. Average LTIP 0.001 XMR using Monero. I mean, it's a huge difference.
No, I'm certainly against.
It's the reason I picked up some Monero, and honestly, it was earlier than what Bawdy had surmised. I think when we did a show a few years ago, and it was because it was so easy to do. And I was like, you know what, privacy coins. I was like, how do I just easily throw? I have extra fiat on hand over here. I just want to press a button, and I just want to use this to trade it with. Zcash was the only option for me. And it was greatly undervalued. At whatever, $30, $40, $50, right? I mean, that nobody could deny that.
Yeah, but at the same time, no one really used it. So
yeah, I think the biggest question is like, where's the bottom for Zcash, right? Because it's whether the bull market's over or not, whatever. Let's say it's not. It keeps going up. What does it come back down to eventually in the bear? That's a good question for Bawdy. I guess maybe around like the $100 range, $150 range.
That's what I would guess, 100 or less.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move the show along because I have to be mobile today. I have some family stuff to do. So we have our guest here. CypherGoat. I think I think that's CypherGoat, I believe. So we'll bring him up. I'll try to participate in that a little bit, and then Bawdy, I hope you don't mind. We'll bring the guest up first, and then we can bring Bawdy up afterwards, and then news, and then viewers on stage. So Tux will be running the show today. Tux, please do remember to run all the ads. I know you always do. Just letting you know because I won't be around for it. And yeah, I guess let's take it away. Let's bring up the guest. Unless there's anything else, any house cleaning things you want to get out there, Tux. I mean, where have you been, man? Have you been traveling the world lately?
Yes, I've been.
Were you in Amsterdam?
I was in Amsterdam. Yes.
Oh wow. I'm sure Zcash was being pumped there as well, right?
Oh yeah. Only by, you could probably guess who, the Winklevoss twins.
Yes.
They spent a large portion of their talk shilling Zcash, and there was a lot of people that walked out because of that.
Really? People were walking out.
And you like the amount that Bitcoiners hate Monero, it pales in comparison to how much they hate Zcash.
I know. It's like a common enemy, finally.
Because the incessant shilling, it's just getting mass rejected by like actual Bitcoiners and Bitcoin developers and stuff. So
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of firepower behind it, So I'm certainly not discounting it, and I would continue to speculate on it. I don't know. I mean, we'll hear from Bawdy. If the whole market's like gonna stay stagnant for a while, I think that's obviously what's gonna determine whether or not Zcash continues to go up or down. Or if the bottom is in for Bitcoin. You think the bottom is in for Bitcoin, Tux?
I think it could be close to it, but if people still have that kind of attitude, like the market makers, they're just going to keep going for like maximum fear. Like people have to be selling their bags off fearing so they can pick up the crumbs and then start to pick the market back up.
Yeah.
So if people are still going to be like doing massive leverage, expecting that it's the bottom, then I have a feeling it's not actually the bottom.
Yeah. So then what's your Zcash call?
Oh, like for me personally, Zcash is barely worth maybe even $100, probably less than that. But I don't know.
Well, not your. Yeah, I mean, if you were speculating on it, like putting your personal, obviously that's part of your speculation. But
I mean, I don't really speculate that much in general. But I did actually sell some of my Zcash at 700, so I did accidentally call like this local top at least, assuming it doesn't go higher than that. And I didn't sell it directly. I actually swapped it straight to Monero. So thanks, Zcash, for giving me free Monero.
Yeah, man. I literally sold some like at the time. It was at like, I don't even, But then I went back trying to increase my Zcash bag, which I did. But then ended up selling it all lower than 700. But whatever. I cannot complain. Really cannot. Because I am not a trader by any means. It's like it's super stressful. It's just not my thing. You really have to pay attention like nonstop. I really see it kind of as a waste of time, but it was fun. Monerotopia 2026 is happening in the same place as last year, Roma, Mexico City, February 12th to the 15th. Guys, just grab your tickets. We're raising the prices soon. So early bird will be over soon. We'll be raising the prices. So if you actually want to like come and get all the swag and stuff, you got to grab a ticket. It is free for locals, but we ask people that are coming there, please grab a ticket, support the conference, so that we can do things like let it be free for locals. So please don't take advantage of that. And we always keep the ticket prices really cheap anyway. Oh, and VIPs are basically almost sold out. I think we have like 10 left. So if you want a VIP, not only is it going up in price, but we only have like 10 left. Sponsored by Cake Wallet and Edge. It's going to be a fantastic time. The marketplace is going to be thumping. I was down there, I guess, 2 weeks ago now. We got getting everything in order. Actually, maybe trying to tap into the local political movement that's happening down there. I was talking to Derek Bros about that. He'll be speaking at the conference, by the way. His conference is happening a week before ours, which is very cool. So a lot of those people will probably come over to Monerotopia, I'm hoping. We're giving them a special discount, anybody that goes to the Derek Bros conference. And people that are attending Monerotopia, if you have the time, I recommend you come. It's like a week and a half earlier than ours. But it seems like a very cool scene. And yeah, Monerotopia is going to be great, guys. Aaron Day, Jeffro, Diego Salazar, Mirataki, Pavel, the Bitcoin, the Monero ATM couple, they're amazing. I just don't want to butcher their names. Uri Vednar, Joel, a controversial figure to some in the Monero community. I think he's doing a great job at what he does. He gets the word out. On privacy coins, he knows a lot about different projects. He has been a little. He's definitely poked our buttons. That's for sure. He's personally poked mine, but I've definitely gotten over that. And I think he would be a great contribution to the conference because he's not just a Monero guy. He's open to all privacy coins, so he will be there. He's not hosting. I kind of got initial feedback from the community that like people were kind of getting a little up in arms, but he will be there speaking, so you could grill him and ask him your questions live on stage. Zeno will also be there. They had a great debate, so I'm sure maybe I could get the two of them on a panel. Derek Bros, Francisco, the Simple X guy. Well, he'll be remote. We got Xano, we got Trogodar, we got CypherGoat, who is our special guest today. So we'll bring them up. He's one of our privacy tech sponsors. Hopefully we'll be adding more of those soon. And then we have our other just Adoption Alley people sponsors. So please reach out if you want to we have Sal the Algorist. I just was on his show the other day. He's very excited about coming. Word is spreading. If you do want to participate in any way other than attending, reach out MoneroTopia@protonmail.com. If you want to be a speaker, if you want to do some live entertainment, if you want to sell something in the marketplace, you want to collaborate in any way, you're working on whatever it may be, you want to do a workshop, hit us up. We will get you involved. MoneroTopia@protonmail.com. But yeah, it's definitely going to be good. We got some good momentum. Now we just need everybody to come on down. European crew, come on down. There's most likely no MoneroCon happening this year. So this is going to be the Monero conference of the year. Come to Mexico City. Come on over. It's not that bad. Just don't drink the water. All right, Tux. We could go ahead and bring up the special guest.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right.
All right.
Hey, CypherGoat, how's it going?
All good. How about you?
Good, man. What's going on? We've had you up here, right, before for our Kyle?
I think you might have featured some software I was building, Monero OS. I'm not sure. I think it must have been that.
Yeah, what was that? What was the Monero S software?
It was a plug-and-play Monero mining operating system. It was quite popular at the time, but since then, people aren't really using it that much.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Wow. Why do you think people aren't using it anymore?
I think it's mostly that GUPAX, the P2Pool mining software. I think that's become very popular, and it's a lot easier to use than what Monero OS was.
Yeah. GUPAX is nice. It is great.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself, man. Obviously, you're running CypherGoat, but give us whatever you're willing to divulge. Tell us about your Monero background.
Okay, well, I'm Farakal. I've been in Monero for 3 or 4 years now. I've been building random stuff like Monero OS, Monero Node Monitor, and then loads of other small utilities and stuff for Monero. And basically, my latest pretty big project has been CypherGoat, which has been very successful lately and is taking up the largest part of my day nowadays. So about CypherGoat, it's an open source, non-custodial, privacy-focused crypto exchange aggregator. So we basically get rates from a bunch of different instant swap providers like ChangeNow, FixLoad, StealthyX, and all of those. And we find you the best rate. We also compare the KYC risk of each exchange, although it's quite minimal. We provide insurance guarantees of up to 0.1 BTC for certain exchanges. We're available through Tor, I2P, with or without JavaScript. I think that's about it.
Very nice, man. Very nice. When did you guys launch?
We're closing in on a year since launch, but we were live as a Discord bot for like, I think it's since like June 2023 or something, if I'm not mistaken. So the website has been live for like, I'd say probably 10 months or something. I'm not 100% sure.
Very cool.
But we've grown a lot since then.
Yeah. I'm hoping we could, help you guys grow a little bit now too, getting the word out. People get to hear you and ask you questions, right? Because a lot of it comes down to trust. But with these instant exchanges, especially if I understand correctly what you guys are doing, obviously you're never taking custody of funds or anything. You're pretty much similar to a Trocador. I guess maybe that's perhaps the easiest comparison. How would you compare it to a Trocador?
Yeah, I think we're quite similar. We've got the same goals and the setup is exactly the same. So it's quite neat because we never actually touch user funds. So you just get, we give you a link or the address you need to send the money to, and you send the crypto, you swap it. We never touch the funds. It goes directly to the exchange and it just works.
How about things like shotgun KYC that people get concerned about?
Well, I think it's been like over exaggerated. We've never had a serious case of like shotgun KYC where the user hadn't done anything like weird with it. We've basically never had stuck funds and we've done a lot of volume. So I think it's very over exaggerated by people because they see cases like, I think there was someone who had like 30 or 40 grand stuck with a certain exchange. But I mean, on Reddit and stuff where they post that. But it's greatly over exaggerated. We've never had any serious cases of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow! I just got breakfast served over here, guys. Sorry about that. And also the way you're saying you guys also rate the exchanges too, and I guess things like whether they do shotgun KYC would come into the rating. So it's like up to the user to avoid that risk, right?
Yeah, we've got like 3 different tiers. So there's like tier 0, which is basically no KYC risk. Then we've got the tier 1, which is that the exchange will refund you if you refuse to do KYC. And then we've got like tier 2, which is a bit higher KYC risk, but the exchange might not refund you if you refuse to complete KYC. But as I said before, we've never had any issues with that.
Awesome. That's good. What kind of numbers are you guys doing? Like, what does your growth look like?
So we've done around 40 million in volume since launch, which is quite a good
Holy
number.
Shit. Awesome.
We're mostly being used by, like right now, we're mostly being used by whales and like very like power users, because our average traded value, so the value of each trade that goes through CypherGoat is around 25 grand. So we're primarily being used by whales. So our goal basically with all of what we're doing now is we want to diversify our user base. We want to be used by more like beginners and smaller users with less volume, but we want to be used by basically the noobs and everyone in the Monero community, and not just whales.
But why is it mostly? Why are you saying you guys are attracting whales versus smaller people?
I think they like that the web UI is open source. We're also available via Tor and ITP, which whales really like. So I think that's mostly why.
No, that's pretty awesome. Here's a tough question. Shortwave Surfer tipped 0.001 XMR. What happens if instant exchanges are targeted and removed by governments? Yeah, that's a tricky question. We don't really know. I guess he's saying, do you foresee any, regulatory risks? Where are you guys? I don't even know, like these instant exchanges. Where do most of them incorporate, and how are they structured and stuff? I mean,
they're mostly in offshore jurisdictions, Seychelles, Cayman Islands. I think some of them are in the UAE, but I'm not sure. But they're all in offshore jurisdictions and quite hard to track down.
Where are you guys out of? Are you're trying to keep that on the DL as well?
We're going to be setting up like a full company and everything in a couple of months, and it's probably going to be in the UAE. But
okay,
yeah.
Shortwave's got to kill the vibe around here, man. Well, I mean, it's true. I mean, so how do you see things going long term? Right. I mean, the future is probably decentralized exchanges, right? Things like that. Where do you see instant exchanges playing a role in the future? How do you see things
So
playing out?
I do think that they will remain. I don't really think that you can take down because there's hundreds of instant exchanges. There's no good way to take all of them down. But we are
Mm-hmm.
going to work to maybe integrate stuff like Haveno quotes inside of the main UI. If we can get that working, that would be quite nice. So that we can like
Oh,
diversify where we're getting our rates from. And I mean, if once the Ridex launches, I think we can probably integrate with that too. So that's going to be quite interesting to see.
oh, that's very cool. Yeah, very cool. Very exciting. What compelled you to start this project up?
Well, I was swapping quite a bit because I was basically providing liquidity for a bunch of different places. So I was like providing liquidity in Monero, and then I was being paid back in Bitcoin. So I was trying to like sell the Bitcoin to get it back into Monero. So I was using stuff like MEXC at the time, I think it was. But that was like quite a manual process because you had to like it didn't require KYC at the time, but you had to get a deposit address, and then you had to wait for it to confirm, send the money, wait for it to confirm, go into the spot market, sell the Bitcoin for USDT, then like buy Monero with that USDT, and then withdraw. So that was quite a tedious process. So then I started using stuff like instant exchangers. I think I started using StealthyX or Fixed Float, but then I saw that there's like loads of different rates. And I decided that you need somewhere where you need to compare all the rates, like a central place.
Awesome. Yeah, there's definitely need there. I think Trocador is doing a great job with it. Looks like you guys are doing all the right things, and you're seeing a lot of growth. I think it's extremely important for Monero to have on and off ramps like this, non KYC on and off ramps, right? Obviously, yes, ideally, decentralized exchanges would be nice, but this is, I think, a necessary resource for the Monero community. What do you think about like these? So obviously all these Monero delistings. At some point, could that start to affect the instant exchanges?
It could, because I guess some of them get their liquidity from stuff like I'm not KuCoin. I think is quite popular because some instance swap providers they use like exchange liquidity for it, but there's also others that use their own liquidity. I mean, Wizard Swap is definitely one of them. They use their own liquidity, and you really can't stop that. You need to like track down Wizard Swap and
Oh,
literally
that's
take
good to
down
know.
their servers.
Wizard Swap is using their own liquidity. That's good to know.
Yeah, there's loads of them that use their own liquidity.
And then for you guys, I mean, you guys are an aggregator, right? So it's like you would just be continuing to work with the ones that are able to keep going, right?
Yeah, of course.
Tell us more, man. Any things coming down the pipe in terms of roadmap, upgrades, things that you'll be doing?
Yeah, so we've just started rolling out payments similar to Trocador's AnonPay, I guess, and we're onboarding businesses like XMR to it. So we're going to be launching that soon. We're also going to be building.
Oh, you're integrating with XMR.bar.
Yeah,
Actually, they mentioned
I think
that
they're
yesterday.
sponsoring the. Yeah. I think they're sponsoring the podcast, aren't they? Like
yes, we have an agreement where I'm helping to get the word out on them, and then also kind of consulting them with trying to improve what they're doing over there.
That's nice.
But it's coming along. It's coming along.
Yeah.
I think it's nice that they'll integrate. Well, I guess. So, what's the deal with you guys? What is it? What are they intending on doing with you guys?
We're just going to be implemented as a payment processor, so you can pay with a bunch of different cryptos.
Right. So you You can gamble with other cryptos, not just Monero.
You can gamble with Zcash or whatever.
That's just called buying Zcash. No. Any comments on the privacy coin season we're seeing?
Well, it's quite interesting. I mean, most of our volume comes from Monero, and like, I mean, the funniest thing is every time Monero crashes, we have like the majority of orders are buy orders, so people are just buying Monero. Well, with Zcash and other coins, we see that when the market crashes, people are just dumping Zcash. So it's quite nice to see that the Monero community is strong in that way.
That is nice to see. I mean, Monero has stayed. I feel has acted as like one of the more stable cryptos, obviously during all this, for better or worse. Not as volatile going up. It's gone up, but it hasn't rocketed up. But then it's also seemed to handle the spikes down better as well. Jeff Tip 0.001 XMR. Do any instant exchanges offer swapping shielded Zcash for Monero? That's a good question. Considering alternative to LTC for getting Monero.
I'm not sure they do. I think Bitcoin Vietnam supports it. They told us like a couple of months ago that they started supporting it, but it's not that popular.
Interesting. You think there'll eventually be a price difference between shielded and unshielded Zcash?
There might, but it might be like a negative. So shielded Zcash has a lower value since you can't trade it on centralized exchanges. I think that would be one scenario that could play out.
Shielded would have a lower value.
Yeah, because it could be
exactly.
It could be thought as tainted coins, like
right.
in the same works with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, you think Zcash ever becomes private by default?
I've no idea. I haven't really looked into Zcash, but they probably will keep the same approach they have.
Yeah. Well, we got another tip here. What is this? Kim Tip 0.002. Hi, if I want to build some little thing like a website that would do something automatically if you make a little XMR payment, what's the easiest way to build that? Try the CLI wallet in a script, but it asks for passwords, so not great for automation. I don't know if you have any insight into that. Tux might have some good insight into that.
I think you just got to use BTC Pay server. And you can also
that's probably the best. Yep.
You can also soon add CypherGoat payments to it.
There you go. Yeah, there's now payments and stuff. But yeah, I would think BTC Pay server for what you're trying to do would probably be the best thing. There's the Monero gateway on WooCommerce, but it's not really kept up too well. Tux, you got any questions for CypherGoat?
Not particularly. I think you touched on the main things, but obviously, I guess the main aggregator right now, the most popular one is probably Trochador. What would you say is the most definitive comparison, or like why should I use CypherGoat directly over Trochador for anyone who would be watching?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say that Trochador is like a very good piece of software, and their team has done like a great job at everything. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it a bit more user-friendly, because I mean, noobs and new users don't really need to know like why you shouldn't have JavaScript on a website. So we've tried to keep an approach where we have both an easy-to-use interface and a more advanced one for other users. So our easier-to-use interface, like that has JavaScript, is fully functioning, and I think it's a lot easier to use for new users. At the same time, we've also got our insurance guarantees are quite significantly higher than Trochador's. So they start from like $2,500 and they go up to 10, I think. So it's quite a big difference if you think about it. Also, we've started to work with some new exchanges. We're looking into integrating with other dexes, maybe Thorchain and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Oh, we're also, I guess, we're also open source. Like our web UI is completely open source. You can get it on GitHub. We're available via I2P. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice, pretty cool. I did notice one exchange partner that's on the bottom of the page that doesn't exist anymore, Majestic Bank. So you might want to remove that one.
Oh yeah. They closed down, I think.
They did, yeah.
Majestic Bank. Sorry for the giggles in the background over here. Phase 2 tip 0.02 XMR, eat your breakfast. Yeah, I do need to eat my breakfast, guys. Actually, I need to make moves over here on my end. Tux, maybe you could run it from here on out. CypherGoat, greatly appreciate you jumping on today. Greatly appreciate you jumping on today, and greatly appreciate the sponsorship for Monerotopia. We also, we have a very good relationship with Trocador, and they've been very supportive of the conference as well. But I think like the more on and off ramps, the better, as long as it's good companies competing, doing good things. So I haven't seen anything negative out there about you guys. I think you guys are doing good things. Appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for being willing to come on the show and answer any questions. Tux, I don't know if you want to bring people up to ask questions, or CypherGoat, if you can hang around, actually that would be even better, and you could jump up on the end, and the community could ask any questions if they have. Otherwise, if you can't stay, we understand that too.
Sure, yeah, I'll try to stay. Thank you guys for having me and for doing the Monerotopia and everything.
Yeah, thank you. Any chance we see you down there?
I think I might try to come, but it's a bit difficult because I'm based in Europe. So, but
Okay.
I'll try to come.
I'm trying to get the Europeans to come on over. So please spread the word. Please spread the word. There may not be another Monero conference this year, so it'd be great to have you guys come on over. All right, yeah, Tux, take it away, and I'm gonna kind of slide behind the curtain over here.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Yes.
And thanks for coming up, CypherGoat. Appreciate it. And yeah, well, I'll play back up again in the viewers on stage segment. But I think we're gonna go ahead and jump into the price report, since it's been a very interesting week for price wise. But yeah, thanks so much, CypherGoat, for coming up.
Thanks for having me.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All right, Body GM, how's it going?
Hello, welcome back.
Yes, it has been a little while since I've been on here.
How was the Amsterdam Chronic?
It was okay. It was a very cool venue that they did, and this was another one of the official like Bitcoin conferences. It was fairly big. It was pretty good. Dude, I'm telling you, every single time.
The Chronic was pretty big.
Yes.
Yes. That was the question. I know you probably can't admit to at least half of your fan base if you have ever used Chronic, but please, you're from West Virginia. I mean, come on, it's in your blood.
It was very good
Sorry.
too.
I interrupted you, bro.
No, I just bulldozed over your actual question. But yeah, every single time we do these Bitcoin conferences and we have a booth as Cake Wallet, like there's like so many people, there's countless people that come up and they're like, "Oh, you're the Monero wallet. Yeah, I used you guys with Monero." Like so many Cake OGs who only used Cake back in the day when it was only a Monero wallet, or they just know it as the Monero wallet. It's basically impossible for Cake Wallet to get past being the Monero wallet. But that's fine because we are. It's just funny at a Bitcoin conference, people come up and they're like, "Oh, you're the Monero wallet," but people like us, right? It's not like, ooh, you shitcoiner. I think Bitcoiners in general are quite accepting of Monero now.
I think so, yeah. Like even the hardcore ones, like I guess the hardcore ones are still kind of assholes, but I've seen a lot of them kind of forcibly be forced to loosen up and be like, all right, I guess it's fine. You know, one of the good things about adding extra coins to Cake, I get, you get normies asking you like, how do I get Monero, right? Because they know you're into the stuff. And so you tell them download Cake, or they're like, hey, I want to get into crypto. Which ones should I buy? And you're like, well, I need to give them a wallet that's going to also have Monero. And if you don't, you're just kind of like, excluding yourself from the game. So you need a wallet that has all the coins they're going to want, or at least most of them, and also has Monero.
True. Man, I mean, that's if you only want Monero, that's why we still have Monero.com.
Degenerate Boofer on YouTube says that Jesus forgives. So
thank you, Degenerate Boofer.
Groypers need not worry, bro. Hey, listen, if you don't sin, Jesus died for nothing. Oh, I'm just kidding. That's
true.
And if you're perfect, then you don't need Jesus, I guess.
Crazy week for price, though, right?
Shit.
Crazy market going on.
Yeah, man. There's blood in the streets. There's like this drop was for Bitcoin at least. This was like way out of trend. Like it totally disrespected my my wave magic levels. If you had treated it like, so I have these criteria if I trade using wave magic, it's usually higher leverage and it's extremely short term because the levels are good, but they might not be good for that long. And this is a perfect example. We'll get into that and I'll show you. But yeah, I mean, you can grab high leverage for small movements and then take your profit and get the fuck out. And this is one of the reasons why, like, I sort of have like this criteria of rule set. I don't really trade that much with it. But yeah, anyway, so let me I guess I should share my screen here. Unless we have some other things to chit chat about. We won't talk about mushroom or talk about weed. We'll talk about mushrooms because that's what there's a new study. They said that mushrooms slow down the aging process. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I have always wondered why mushrooms, which aren't in any way lethal or very dangerous, are Schedule 1 in the United States. That has always fascinated me.
Yeah, entheogens could be dangerous to state power, much like Monero. So it is definitely a Schedule 1 in terms of how dangerous it is to the government because you might start asking questions. It happens. All right, so we got the charts up there. Let's see, I was doing a little bit of log Pearson correlation with Monero. I guess we'll get into that. Yeah, why don't we just start with Bitcoin and we'll get into Monero later. Monero did crash too, but it kind of crashed after the fact. And yeah, I mean, it's not unsurprising to see Monero crash, but our crash was like it's just back to where we've always been. Our stablecoin price. I haven't really called Monero a stablecoin in a while. But I mean, Monero's just back down to a price that basically makes sense, from a steady, slow, organic usage and adoption. All right, but let's talk about Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the daddy coin and he is being a big abusive motherfucker right now. So yeah, this is the daily chart. These orange bands, like in terms of like my wave magic rule sets, these orange bands, especially when they develop on the daily, are supposed to be quite good. They're supposed to be a spot where you stop, you take at least a pause, and usually some kind of rebound bounce. You could go lower, but it's usually a very good resistance or support zone. And it just wasn't, right? Like so again, this is the nature of statistics. Sometimes stats are going to be fucking wrong, right? On occasion, statistics, right, statistically are going to be fucking wrong. So this is just like something you have to understand. It's also last week why I said, listen, if you go big leverage on this thing at this level, just make sure that you get in and out, right? You're looking for like 2 to 4% of a rebound. Let's go to the 2 hour and we can see this a little bit better. And I'll show you guys too. This is way out of trend. Like this is really bad price action. Let's see here. Okay, so we got the orange bands right here. My recommendation was like 92 to 90, right? Make this your sort of go long zone. And there was like the briefest moment. Hey, wait a second. things had recovered. Yeah, okay. It's so bad that like you can barely even see the recovery, right? So if you had gotten long, like right here on some kind of leverage, which was like, or really it was right here, was sort of the target zone. If you had taken your profit, like right, just again, 2% that you had to get in and out, which I didn't. I took lower leverage actually. And I said, no, I'm going to try and ride this thing a little bit longer and be a bit greedy. Just because usually these bands are quite good. So I said, no, I'm going to try and be a bit greedy. And because I saw like on the shorter time frames, I saw that we were capping out. And I said, well, I could sell here, right? I could sell, or I could try and ride this thing for a bit longer. And that was a mistake. So,
Body no.
Yeah, man. What are you gonna do? Can't win them all. This guy right here. You can see that we were recovering to this orange band structure right there, and I was like, man, things are gonna have to pull back. And I said, I should sell. No, fuck it. I'm just gonna hopefully, we'll do one of these, and then I'll sell. And nah, this guy, I got to take my own fucking advice for real. So I mean, I said it last week. I was like, don't get greedy, and I got greedy. Jesus, maybe I just need someone else to do this trade for me. Do as I say, not as I do, said the Pharisee. So yeah, the big question is, are we fucked, right? Is this over? Are we done? I don't think so. I think that this is just more washing people out, right? Because I remember 90,000 being like a headliner spot for a lot of people, being like 90,000 is, we might have to go back to 90. I'm calling for 90,000. I didn't call it until like way late in the game. I was like, yeah, we got to hit 90,000, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that till we were below 100. And then I was like, yeah, we're kind of fucked. We got to go to 90. So anyways, this is probably, and here's why. Okay. Let's just like go on a rant, go on a ramble. Let's talk about the macro. Let's understand. So for the past couple weeks, I've been like, yeah, the Trump tariffs, they're on trial. The Supremes are checking out whether or not it was unconstitutional and it's going to affect the economy or something. It's a big deal, but I wasn't quite sure how that was going to actually be like really affect the economy. Well, if you think about it, and I probably should have known this at the time, but whatever. Sorry. Sorry, I don't know everything. And I can't think of everything. But listen, markets hate uncertainty. Okay. And the Trump tariff review by the Supreme Court is uncertainty about the economy. We've made all these like bilateral agreements with tariffs with other nations, and then there's $1 trillion that might have to get paid back or might not have to get paid back. And how is that going to affect the economy? Okay, so we're going to be able to import stuff better, and that's going to be easier for businesses that are importers, but businesses in America that are making stuff, right, that are kind of like gearing up to replace those imports. Now they're kind of like, now they have to compete with no tariffs or lower tariffs on certain things, and everything has to fucking readjust and all this stuff. And that's all uncertainty, right? Some businesses are going to go up, some are going to go down. Are some of these companies going to get a windfall? Does the government have to pay back those taxes, right? Those tariffs? And who's the right person to pay back in the first place? Because those costs, they got passed on to the consumer. Maybe the importer paid a little bit. Maybe the exporter from the other country paid a little bit. Who actually should get those funds? Now, in the golden age of fraud, you would say, well, probably you'll just give a windfall to Amazon, since I don't know, maybe they're like one of the biggest importers. Who knows? The problem is that, like, I don't think that they can do that. So my guess is that they won't. They're going to say, listen, it's already collected, too late, whatever. And then strike it down, right? The betting markets, futures predictions markets are giving like a 25% chance that they do not get struck down, right? So like 75% chance these things get struck down. And that should be a big boost for the economy, right? Or maybe not the economy, but for the stock market. Because it means now that tariffs going away, things are going to get cheaper. There's about 0.5% of CPI of inflation that can be attributed to tariffs. So with CPI having a little bit of a disinflationary pressure there, that means J-Pow can fire up the printer, right? So they can grease those gears and get the shit rolling again. And so that's right. That all sounds like stock market positive to me. So what's interesting is that the real fall off here, and so actually I said it was a few weeks ago that I was like, listen, if Bitcoin should recover here, but it needs a strong week in the stock market, right? Stocks need to show a strong week for Bitcoin to recover, and stocks did not show a strong week. They actually ended kind of bad, and ever since then things have just been down for Bitcoin. So stocks aren't really doing so terrible here. What is that? Minus 4.65%. That's fucking nothing, guys. But Bitcoin really needed a break. and it didn't get one. So, and you'll notice here, look at the timing. So the Supreme Court heard oral arguments for the Trump tariffs on November 5th. So you can see here, October 29th, basically the top of the stock market, November 3rd, if you look at the bottom, maybe let me zoom in a little bit here. So right here, before the stock market gapped down, that was just a couple days before the oral arguments began at the Supreme Court. So what is that? That's uncertainty. And then things have been down ever since. So it does make a lot of sense to me that this is probably a lot spurred on by the Trump tariffs. And that was kind of the thing that caused the mini crash back in April, right? Like it was the tariffs. So, we're kind of looking at the same thing. This will probably resolve to the upside. Again, golden age of fraud. If the last year has taught us nothing, it is that these markets are going to get jacked the fuck around, right? Markets are just going to go up and down and oscillate and vacillate and put their left foot in and their right foot out, right? There's fucking markets are doing the hokey pokey on us, and everyone's scared. And I'm still like, I'm a little bit worried now. I am starting to get worried because this drop in Bitcoin is historically the kinds of drops that you see after the end of a bull market, or after the end of a bear market too. Nevertheless, if stocks recover and the Trump tariffs, whatever, this thing will probably just reverse on a dime and shoot towards the upside. So if you haven't sold by now, it's too late. Like the time to sell was at 110, 126. If you didn't sell up here, you're retarded. If you sell now, you just got to hang on to it. You got to ride the ship down. So let's, I don't know, actually, let me see if I feel like we're a little bit squished here. Let me expand this some. All right. Okay, so we're going to go look historically on Bitcoin. We're going to ask ourselves, what is the largest historical drops that we have seen below the orange bands? And to do that, we need to just clear up some stuff. Let's get rid of some of, okay, there we go. This is much cleaner. Let's go backwards now. So right here, this is the daily chart. We're trying to find, see these orange bands right here? We're trying to find places where you just didn't respect it. In this case, we dropped about 12% below those orange bands, and we went there straight away. There was no pause. There was only the tiniest of pause. At the end of the last bull market, right? So 2022 or 2021, we did drop below the orange bands, and that was to the tune of about 10%, 11%, 10.5%, right? And then this doesn't count because you're sort of just writing them down, so that's not exactly right. We're looking for the first touch of those orange bands. We don't have that. We have to go all the way back to the end of the bear market from the GOX washout, and even here wouldn't still quite be the right criteria, but even that was minus 12% as well. So historically speaking, this is the kind of thing that we see after the end of a bear market, after the end of a bull market, right? It's just extremely out of trend. So, and if we were to look at the Z-scores, right, we're going to see something probably very similar. Let's just go to the Z-scores. So BTC in orange, I know that's, let's just get rid of all the other stuff just to make it easier to see. Maybe I should have just added the Z-score for Bitcoin specifically. Yeah, that was too slow. I should have just, anyways. Okay. So you can see things are pretty bad here, right? This is a minus in terms of I believe this is 365 days Z-score we're looking at. Dang it. It is, it's only the 100-day. Yeah, let's bump that up to 365. All right. Yeah, you can see that in terms of Z-scores, this is a very, very negative Z-score event. Again, we haven't seen this kind of negative Z-score action. We have to go all the way back to the bear market to the last time that we saw this kind of deviation. Now, if you look at it, this is actually only a minus 1.6 on the Z-score, which means it is about a 1.5 standard deviation event. So that's not super, super duper out of trend, right? That's not you're not looking at Zcash pumping I don't know how many standard deviations out of trend it was, but it's probably at least 6 to 10, if not 20. So again, standard deviation being a way that you ask yourself how out of trend, how unlikely is an event, right? In astrophysics, they look the data that they're looking at, they'll look for 6 standard deviations in the data to say, yes, this is a real signal. And only 1 out of 1 million or 1 out of 1 billion chance of being wrong, something like that. So, yeah, what are you going to do, guys? I'm just trying to show you how out of trend this movement is, right? That this kind of drop actually is. So just also for the record, that's not an excuse for me being wrong last week. So, I just accept that I'm going to be wrong a lot. right? Especially when it comes to trading. So anyways, hopefully you guys didn't get too wrecked out there. Hopefully you were on low enough leverage to survive the drop to 80,000. Probably you needed about 5x on that. Let's just take a look. Let's measure. What did we say? That was 11. That was 12%. Yeah, so you needed to be on less than about 6x leverage to survive this so far. The chances of things coming back are pretty good. It would really help if the Supremes would fucking release their ruling, because they probably already decided. I don't know. Maybe they're arguing and bickering amongst themselves. But yeah, that's probably like in the biggest, broadest sense what's happening there. Let's see. Do we have any super XMR chats that I need to get to?
Oh, we just have this one here. FE tipped 0.0025 XMR. Would you agree that the halving chart shows this bull run for BTC is over? Thanks for opening.
I don't know if the halving chart shows that the run is over. No, I don't think that shows that. The thing is, like, okay, some charts are like so easy you can just eyeball them and be like, okay, no, there's clearly a trend here, and I don't need to run statistical analysis to prove that this is, this is what this chart does show is diminishing returns, right? That's what we can clearly see here is diminishing returns, at least in terms of like percentages. But it doesn't mean the bull market is over. No, not necessarily. I don't think that this chart necessarily shows that. But I understand what you're getting at, because there was the oh, and by the way, almost all of these things where they're like, current price scaled, goes up to this price, and in X amount of days, it went up this amount of percent. And then the next one, it went up in Y amount of days, it went up Z amount of percents. All of that is literally regression analysis with your eyeballs. It is literally attempting to sort of like very poorly recreate a mathematical tool that has already been invented for like 100 years or so, to analyze this stuff and say, well, here is the absolute best that statistics can say about this. And whether people think they're trying to do stats or not, they are when they do that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, these charts are interesting, right? I don't want to poo-poo this chart too much, because I do find it interesting when data is presented in interesting manners. The only thing that when it comes to this is that you have to sort of choose an arbitrary time. Like, okay, when do you align the left of all of these prices? Usually you do it at like the absolute bear market low, but not always. It doesn't quite look like that's what they've done here. I don't know what their left alignment. Oh, of course, the left alignment is the post halving. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of arbitrary. The other thing is the halving doesn't really matter anymore, right? Like, this is the last time that the halving matters, guys. Like, after this, like, it might matter in like a sociological sense. Like, hey, there's like, the news and the trade, and buy the news and sell the rumors, whatever. Like, we're so far beyond. You have to reverse it, right? It's no longer buy the rumor, sell the news. It's the opposite. I'm just kidding. Whatever. I'm just talking out my ass. But no, it's an interesting chart, but I'm not sure if it can really inform trading decisions for us at this moment. All right. So that's Bitcoin. I guess I don't know. I guess this thing's going to come back, guys. Like, for all I know, they just want to wash out more people. Oh, last thing, the total fall here is 36%. So, that's not horrible. Like, for a bull market, like we've seen that before. Like, minus 36% is not the end of the world in a bull market. So, but it does feel like it, right? Here's a minus 32% that we had in the mini crash, right? So in a way, like, this crash is worse than the fucking macro crash of April. So I don't have any good advice for you guys on what to do here. Let's look at the Z-scores, check out shitcoins real quick. I don't want to have to, I guess I'm going to have to do it the slow way, because I don't want to have to search for the stupid, I don't know. Let's just try it. I'm getting a lag here on my Z-score asset, Z-score crypto. Maybe it's Z-score crypto plus. It's been a while. Dude, why is TradingView just totally lagging on me? Oh, by the way, if you guys are like inclined to getting like the super duper awesome TradingView, they have the Black Friday sale, so you can get the Pro. God, it doesn't usually lag this bad on me. Maybe, all right, hang on. Let's just clear everything. Let's try this. Sorry for the delay here. I know like dead air is like the worst thing. That's what Alaska Anon taught me. Said no dead air. Don't let it happen. All right. So the only other coin that's actually doing reasonably well right now is Bcash. So I don't know how they're pumping, but okay, cool, bros. This kind of stuff, like when you get the one coin pumping out of everything else, and it's a sea of red and the one coin is pumping, you're like, yeah, I don't really believe that, you know. It's hard for me to believe that that's organic action. Everyone is selling and suddenly everyone said, let's go into Bcash. That's the safety play. No, that's something else is going on here. For Bcash to be pumping while everything is falling, whatever. People are going to be like, stop talking about manipulation. Like, okay, fine. It's all organic. My bad. Monero also fell, right? So let's take a look at this. All right, so I was looking at some correlations on Monero, whether it correlates to total market cap or not. But all right, so if we're looking at the Monero chart on the on just the daily, like, does this look like a chart that screams bear market to you? Does this look like a chart that says it's over? No, this looks like a bullish chart. This looks nice. We're already rebounding off, like, you know, kind of this area that we've set. Right, so this area right here, you know, we spiked up with the hack, and then you had to test the support down there. With this being the average sort of, you know, median price, middle price, if you will, and then we're already like kind of setting a thing there, and there is the possibility that crypto needs a rebound. Probably it'll fall further just because everyone thinks it has to rebound now, so they're just going to wipe out more leverage longs. So if too many people get leverage long, then they'll send this thing down to minus 40%. That's just how that shit goes. But I mean, come on, guys, Monero looks good. Like, okay, we had a spike up here, and I said, hey, I don't trust necessarily that this spike, particularly this wake up here, I didn't trust that was necessarily totally organic action. I said, yeah, you know, that feels kind of, you know, it's yeah, I mean, the chart is nice, and maybe a bunch of Monero bros just decided to buy. Maybe they had some kind of windfall from some other activity. I don't know. Maybe people doing a lot of drugs and darknet market vendors. No, but they already have Monero, so that wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, so this didn't feel entirely organic. I know some people were upset and said, no, that's dumb. Bawdy, you don't know what you're talking about, and manipulation, but you know, you don't typically get those kind of spikes, but sometimes, right? Anyways, so
I mean, it's kind of a given considering like all this attention on like privacy in general, which is just kind of cloaked for Zcash, really, mostly. But it only makes sense that Monero would get some of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely not the hand-me-down liquidity, but you know, there's the side action liquidity that when you shine a spotlight on privacy coins, people are going to find Monero on their own. You know, and then we had, you know, we've had some soul guys starting to pay attention to Monero. I did a podcast with one that had like 300,000, allegedly 300,000 followers. I don't know how much of that is botted, right? Who knows? But he did seem interested, you know, like he seemed like a genuine, warm Gen Z bro. Like I didn't, you know, and like in a lot of ways, I don't mind the meme coin guys so much because he was totally honest. He was like, I got into crypto. I got in it for the memes, for the dog pictures, you know, in 2020. So it's not like he showed up and he's like, I'm going to do freedom digitally on the blockchain and it's soul with dog memes and that's freedom. Like that was never his position. So I'm kind of okay with it because it's like, yeah, you know, it's at worst, it's a vice, you know, it's just gambling, it's retardation, but all of us have our vices. So, I mean, maybe some people are perfect out there. I don't know. But if those guys want to come over and, you know, buy some Monero, that's fine. That's great. And maybe this was them doing that, or maybe it was just the cabal fucking things around because, you know, they need to make it look like Monero is also falling with the rest of crypto, even though we're basically at the same levels that we've been at for months now. So, nah, guys, Monero's looking fine. I'm not worried about it. I think we have a lot of organic adoption. This is a good reason to not be on exchanges. I'm honestly neutral. Whether Kraken or anyone would delist us, I'm neutral about that. Like, delist us, don't delist us. I don't think it matters all that much at this point. I think I'd prefer to stay on Kraken if possible, but you know, maybe that's not possible. We'll see. I think it's fine. We'll look at what happened with the flash crash. That
was really weird. I want to say I agree. I think Kraken's like a good medium of like not having it on Binance. Binance is fucked. Not having it, like if Mexi and KuCoin delisted it, I think which one? It's Mexi that does theoretically most of the Monero volume. That might be initially bad, but I know KuCoin and Mexi, they're also paper holders. Kraken's one of the better ones, and then we've got DFX in Europe as well. So,
what was the date? It was November 19th. I think it was November 19th. Let's
the Binance delisting one.
Yeah, we have to because I'm on the.
It was at the beginning of last year.
No. The flash crash this week.
Oh, the flash crash this week.
I just looked it up. I think it's the 19th.
Yeah, it was a few days ago.
Yeah, here we go. I had to go because if you can't scroll on the 5-second chart, it's just too many candles. But yeah, okay. So here we are at the flash crash. You know, people wondering about what happened there. Yeah, it was weird. So I was hoping Kraken would like tell us, you know, be like, yeah, we did this, and we checked the order books, and yeah, it was a whale, you know, a big market maker was basically a single or, you know, 2 or 3 entities, large entities were the only orders on the order book from 394 all the way down to 365, and they removed their orders, right? Because this was on 0 volume. Here, let's just add the volume. All right, so Monero, for those of you that don't know, probably everyone knows about it, but if you don't, Monero flash crashed. And when I say flash crashed, I mean within a second, immediately, instantly, not like within a minute, within literally 5 seconds or less, crashed minus 7.5% on Kraken. On I guess that was Tuesday. I don't know what date the 19th was. Maybe that was Wednesday. Doesn't matter. Middle of the week, it just crashed out of nowhere. And, you know, like previously, Monero was doing great, 400, right? Monero was at 400. We were, you know, sky high. Everyone else was crashing, and, you know, they were cutting each other in the streets. And I want to show you here that it crashed on no volume. So it's not like there was a massive sell. There is a red candle here. If we pin this to the left scale, you can see that we're looking at about 1,300 Monero, which amounts to a little over $500,000 at $400 price. So, but that was like 10 minutes before the flash crash. So there was a big sell, but price absorbed it, and then the order got removed. So the story that people have made up for Kraken on Kraken's behalf, rather than letting Kraken tell us this, what they said is that, listen, Kraken had an update, and so orders were cancel only, and then a market maker, a liquidity provider, removed their buy orders from 400 down to 361. That seems a bit weird because, look, I mean, we're talking like on like 5 Moneros worth of volume, so we're talking less than $1,000 worth of volume. You know, price just instantly crashed. So you're telling me that only a market maker had orders on the Kraken order book, and you know, for all the way from 400 down to 365. Okay, I could probably believe it, because for the most part, it seems like Monero has, you know, people are using alternative means. But I mean, come on, there had to have been some orders on the order book that would have had to have gotten triggered here. You know, on 3, 4, 10, 20, 50 Monero sales. Shouldn't this have been, I could understand bam, bam. Let's do this. I could understand bam, 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 right? I could understand that. Or even just like full stair step down. I could understand that, because you're getting little cells, you know, market sell, market sell, market sell here and there. But it didn't seem totally correct. It's a plausible explanation. Kind of wanted Kraken to, actually, I posted about it. I said, hey, Kraken FX, can you please tell us what happened here? How is this possible? And then so they just responded with their customer support, and they asked me to send them their bot sucks. They didn't answer anything, but okay. And listen, when it comes to corporations, I'm usually I assume that you're doing malicious, nefarious shit for profit. With Kraken, I'm more like, yeah, let's stay neutral, right? Let's give them the opportunity. I don't want to assume the worst. I don't want to assume the best on their behalf either, right? Because everyone's like, Jay Powell, you know, Jesse Powell is really, you know, solid dude, and I'm like, yeah, 100%. But he's not the CEO of Kraken anymore, unless I'm mistaken. If I'm mistaken, please somebody tell me. But I don't think he's the CEO. It's been a few years now, right? So he has somebody else. They have somebody else in charge of Kraken now, and how much control he still has over the platform, I don't know. And so again, you know, if Jesse Powell was still in Kraken, I would be inclined to give them a slight benefit of the doubt. But without him there, I'm kind of like, yeah, they removed CZ and they've taken over other parts of the ecosystem. I don't know, guys. Anyways, Monero looking fine. Should you buy right now? Yeah, I guess always buy.
I do want to mention, if I can, if you look at other crypto charts, the Kraken one specifically, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever, you do see a little bit of a drop, and you do see that kind of no volume, and then a little bit, but Monero's was substantially larger than all of the other ones. So there is something to say that, oh, they had like a maintenance thing or something, but the amount in which Monero's dropped was really weird and is not comparable to any of the others.
Yeah, the thing that probably makes the most sense to me is that I don't think Kraken was. So just for the idiots out there that are going to be like, stop saying Kraken was manipulating the market. I'm not saying that. I just want an explanation. I just want them to tell us, hey, you know, here's an after action report. So with that out of the way, it makes a lot of sense to me that the pump that we saw, right, this little, you know, this spike up, this action was done by probably market makers and insiders, right? Why would they pump Monero? So that they have the opportunity to dump it later, right? That you can't just have Monero being fucking stable with everything else. They want to make it look like Monero also fell with the rest of crypto. I guess, I don't know. Like it just makes sense to me that probably some market maker on that exchange caused, you know, like did that flash crash. Yeah, I still probably don't think that Kraken actually did anything wrong there. I don't know. I mean, how much liquidity is there, right? Like that's the problem with cryptos. The volume are faked, and we've known this since forever. Like here's some lore. Let's go back to like 2017, 2018. People did statistical analysis on the exchanges and said, okay, let's look at their volume numbers, their self-reported volume numbers, and let's do statistical analysis. This is what the IRS does on your tax returns, by the way. They look at the first digit and the last digit of your tax returns, and they know the distribution that of the numbers that are supposed to be there. So when humans make up numbers, they're bad at being random. And or when you have like bots or like algorithmically controlled stuff, you get weird patterns that don't align with like, you know, statistical probabilities. And so they proved that, hey, these volume numbers are not properly distributed in terms of number theory. They should be distributed like so, and instead they're distributed in some other weird fucking way, which means that they're being managed by either a human or a bot, which means that those volume numbers are faked. And it turned out that 95% of all the volume in crypto was just fucking fake. And there was there have been a number of studies that have come out that have showed this over and over again. So when people are like, what are you talking about, the fraud in crypto? Like, yeah, I'm talking about the fraud in crypto. There's a lot of it. So we don't even know what the real volume numbers are, guys. And you know, Kraken isn't the Coinbase, right? They're not like the headliner. They're like the number 3. So yeah, there really might not be that much volume, right? It's totally possible that there's really not that much volume. Tux, you talked about Bitcoin also having a similar thing. So I want to take a look at that. Was it the exact same timeline? Was it the same day?
Same time.
Oh shit, okay. Last available. It won't let me go back any further than, but for Monero it would let me. That's weird. All right, let's go to the 15-second. Alt G. Yeah, go to. That's the 19th. That should be. I'm not seeing a crazy gap down though.
I think what time was it? If you go to the left, I think
it won't let me go any further.
That tiny little jump.
This right here?
Towards the right, you see this little gap right there. Yep, right there. You see the tiny little gap between those two candles.
Oh, these guys?
Yeah. But there was a point, there was a section that I thought Bitcoin had, because I looked at this basically the day of, that had a point where there was no volume either. It was like, it looked like the chart was bugged. But maybe they're not giving you data that far back for some reason. That's weird.
Let's see. We also had the perpetuals, which you showed me.
Oh yeah, the Binance XMR perpetuals is Binance. Fucking Binance. They still have XMR futures apparently, and that one paints a more full picture.
All right, so let's maybe it won't let me go back. That, damn it, I should have saved it. Maybe I can find it. I know it's kind of a slow thing to do. All right, so I'm hang on a second. I'm on my Twitter right now. I'm trying to look. I want to look for your post. I don't know if you can find it. Aha, here we go. Let's just put this up on, instead of having to scroll through TradingView, we could just go to Twitter and show. All right, so what we have here is the perps, and you'll notice the perps actually came down. And the thing to note, if we could see the dates on here, the Kraken, the drop in Kraken happened like right here, right? So the perpetuals had already fallen, and then the Kraken price fell down. So that's also another indication that some entity out there, right, not necessarily Kraken, but some like market maker, liquidity provider, some market manipulator was out there, and they basically sold short Bitcoin on the perpetuals, and then they crushed Bitcoin on Kraken, right? They withdrew their supports for it. Because yeah, the actual Kraken crash for Monero didn't happen until after the crash had happened on the perpetuals. So yeah, that's just special. But I mean, please guys, like if any regular watchers of the show, like, you know this, like, we just know that this is how crypto is, and we've come to expect it. So we don't get our panties in a bunch too much. I mean, we use strong abusive language to refer to the abusers with abusive language. But other than that, we just move on, right? We just continue on with the price support because that's just how fucking shit is, right? You just have to understand that's the game. Okay, so but in terms of our ratio, Bitcoin to Monero, we're still doing great. Like I wouldn't have expected to be this strong. Like not only did we come up here to this spot, we're like holding it. So this is really strong price action. I also think to myself, hey, like usually Monero does good in bear markets. So, the fact that we were seeing a resurgence of Monero, we were kind of like, yeah, is this the bear market? Like, I don't know. Oh shit, there's one more thing I wanted to show you guys on Bitcoin. I forgot. Yeah, let's go here. Let's take a look at the RSI. We talked about this maybe a month ago. We were saying the weekly RSI on Monero is fucking horrible. It's terrible. Like this is, so it's called bearish divergence. So what you see here is lower highs on the RSI, and you see higher highs on the price chart, right? So it's diverging. The RSI is diverging down. It's already in a downtrend, even though supposedly this chart is in an uptrend. And weekly bearish divergence on RSI is horrible for crypto. So, however, once you get back to the 40 spot, so on bearish divergence, you're up here at the top. Once things get back below the 40 spot, they can reset. So believe it or not, even though the bearish divergence here was bad and probably would have been a good enough reason to exit crypto, and I don't know, I didn't want to believe that it was over. The macro still looks good, and I know that I'm retarded, so I said no, I'm not selling. I'm just staying long. If it wants to crash, it can crash. I'll hang on to it, whatever. So that's kind of like my thinking there, like reasons why I didn't sell. But even though maybe you would have wanted to, but at this point, the bearish divergence has now reset. Once you drop below 40 for bearish divergence, or you get above 60 for bullish divergence, in my mind, it resets. At least that's what I've seen over and over and over again. So in a way, this washout is good. Things have to reset. As we've said before, you have to wash out the leveraged longs, because if those motherfuckers are on 10x and we go to 150, 160,000 Bitcoin, they're cashing out 10x, 20x leverage, and they're pulling real liquidity out of the system. And that puts a damper on the bull market. So the hodlers actually do want to see these crazy liquidation wicks to the downside. That helps hodlers have a higher ultimate price until the hodlers sell at the top of the market, which of course they're hodlers, so they'll never do that. They don't understand how to sell at the top of a bull market. But very long-winded way of saying, guys, it's probably not over. We just have to wait for the Trump tariff Supreme Court decision to hit and say that they were unconstitutional and they're going to be fucking gone out the window. And there's probably not going to be any repayment. They're not going to have to repay those tariffs. And then the markets will pump and Bitcoin will pump, and maybe Monero will even pump with it. Who knows? Maybe privacy coins will pump. Probably Zcash round 2 will begin at that point. And there will be a lot of salt to be had by all of the people who want to short Zcash. And a lot of Monero people are going to be pissed off about it, including myself. Anyways, XMRBTC doing good here. At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if Monero continues to these blue bands up here, right? So would really hope for Monero to get back to 0.5% of Bitcoin's, or really more like 0.006, 0.008 of Bitcoin's. Man, I hate using decimals like that. Let's just scroll backwards and use visuals. So we're really hoping at this point, right? We've sort of come back to this. We've gotten above this area down here, right? Where we sort of crashed out in the bull market, right? The ratio crashed out in the last bull market, and Monero's is actually above that point now. So hopefully Monero can sustain better relative price action to Bitcoin. It deserves a vastly higher price, even than Bitcoin. All right, let's keep moving on here. We should check the divergences. I didn't look at these all week, which is stupid. Why wouldn't I have done that? Actually, everything looks fine with the divergences. That's interesting. Yeah, so there was... Keep doing it, whatever. Okay, so Poloniex is weird. They're always weird, but now everything looks normal there. All right, let's move on. The hash rate is actually pretty good. Like even without Cubic, we're sitting here at 6 gigas of hash rate. So that's actually a really good indication that a large portion of our price action has been organic, right? You get higher hash rate. Higher hash rate indicates more interest, more miners, and more people is going to be correlated with more people buying, right? More people hodling and using and all that good stuff. So Monero is showing strong hash rate, sustained at 5 gigas. It wasn't just the Cubic bullshit, right? Because Cubic they're sucking ass right now. Like they're dying, right? This looks like a token in the process of dying. maybe because they could be having some kind of support right here. So maybe they can find a way to come back for a moment, but they're dying. So that's not even like a huge issue for us anymore, which is good because the devs are worried about far more important things than trying to improve Nakamoto consensus, which is not easy. I guess we're on privacy coins. So everything fell too. Xano fell. Okay, whatever. Firo did hit our targets here up at the blue bands, spiked up and then came back down. Zcash showing pretty good resilience, like considering, I mean, I know they were, technically they're down like 30% from their all-time high, but that was after running 2000%. So they're actually still doing quite well. Again, if the bull market is not over and my probabilities are still like 80% that it's not over, then Zcash is going to come roaring back with some major market cap, whatever. Okay, that's just going to happen. Count on it. Maybe even Pirate Chain will be able to finally make the blue bands up here. I don't know. Okay, so I feel like I'm going a bit long here, so I'm going to try and speed things up here. We already talked about the important things in the macro. The Monero transactions are still sitting here at 25,000, so would really love to see this thing climb to 30, 40,000. That's kind of like, that's like the one thing that I'm like, it's still a thorn in my side at this point, and that we should have higher transaction counts. I feel like we should. Maybe it's just that people are using Monero for investment now. That's fine, right? I'm not going to be one of these guys that tells you that it's not a store of value and to not use it for speculation, to not use it for savings, right? That's retarded. Money needs to be savable as well as spendable. Gold, let's start with gold here. If we can, there we go. Sometimes trading view lags. Okay, so yeah, gold actually looks like it's in this holding pattern right now. Listen, if the Trump tariffs go away, gold is going to spike because it's going to mean that they're going to raise rates, or sorry, they're going to lower rates, which means usually higher prices for gold. But yeah, I mean, gold is sitting here figuring out what it wants to do next, right? This is typical price action. You get a big movement. You get compressing volatility. The bands help you identify those volatility bounds, right? Statistically, the bounds of that volatility. And at some point here, gold's going to make a break, but it could be a while. Again, we talked about this. It could take until next year before gold can figure out how to break higher. And that's probably what's going to be the case. You're going to explore this band structure somewhat. Maybe it'll even like do something where it like starts showing bias, right? Maybe like that. And then, somewhere around here, you can say, hey, that's a really strong signal. Okay, so gold, just doing normal. Let's look at silver since, obviously if we're going to look at gold, we should look at silver. And surprise, surprise, they have a very similar chart. Basically the same story here in terms of the big move up and then consolidation. I think this is wonderful, right? So we talked about this. We said, hey, silver probably, let's go to the daily. Because of silver's, big spike up here, it beat the previous all-time high, which was at 50. And now it's sitting here consolidating with 50 at that midpoint. This is perfect. This is exactly what you want to see. You want to see silver consolidating, establishing a base of strength, and the next move up sets 50 as a floor for the future. For the meantime, 50 is not a floor, right? Things could hypothetically break down. But if the next move on silver is a big spike up to say 100, then 50 is the new floor. You'll never get below 50 even in the next silver and gold bear market, right? So this is good price action. Again, you want to see steady gains. You don't want to see parabolic gains typically. Or if you do see parabolic gains, you want to see that, and then you want to see stabilization. Dollar index is starting to concern me. This thing is getting ready to go towards the upside, maybe. This is certainly looking like a bullish structure. It doesn't have to break right away. It could come back down to the downside, and that's really what we want to see. We actually want to see this thing take a break, come to the downside, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think more likely than not, we are about to break that. Maybe it'll consolidate here. And then maybe next year the dollar will really start going towards the upside, aiming for these blue bands, and that will be a signal to us in accordance with the other things that we look at, like bonds, right? And like bonds and the unemployment. We're going to look at that and say, hey, probably Jay Powell will have lowered rates a few times, and as soon as we see these bond rates start to curl under, if we see things like Dixie rising at the same time bonds are falling, right? That becomes problematic for us. And then also we're looking at the civilian unemployment rate. Apparently they did release the numbers. They said they weren't gonna, but everyone is so pissed that maybe they said, all right, I guess we'll release them or something. They probably lied. But we have numbers for September now. So all right, we have, and it came up. We're still at 4.4% unemployment. But this is really looking like the SOM rule extended. The thing is, they game all this stuff, guys. Everybody knows about the SOM rule now. Like all the stuff I'm showing you, I am not special. Other people have seen this. Yes, I found most of this on my own, or by browsing Twitter and saying, oh, that's a good signal, I should pay attention, right? But I'm not the only person that sees this stuff, right? So there are other people that monitor these things, and so they know the SOM rule is like, what are the criteria? So what are they going to do? They're going to try and game the SOM rule. Oh, don't publish the unemployment numbers for fucking 2 or 3 months, whatever. And then when you do publish it, like manage it, right? So anyways, sorry for ranting. Sorry for just going off the fucking deep end there, but that's just how things go. When signals get identified and people learn them, then the market adjusts, and the manipulators also adjust, right? So remember, manipulation is part of all markets. Fraud is part of all markets. You just have to accept it, but they do like change things. All right, oil is kind of like falling here, which is weird because again, when the Trump tariffs go away, oil should go up, right? They're not going to go away. It's just one piece of the Trump tariffs that are getting ruled on. The others will stay in place. But, oil should get a spike here if the Supremes rule that it was not constitutional. So because that means more international shipping, obviously. But I don't know. Oil is not looking great. Reverse repos still on the floor, still zero. Irrelevant for us. They don't matter. The Z-scores for all of the big broad asset classes, crypto is the only one that is really sucking ass right now. Stocks, yeah, they've fallen off, but they're fine. Gold, fine. I don't know where bonds went. They stopped publishing BTI. All right, whatever. And then I think we already looked at stock markets. Yeah, stocks are down, but it's out. It's not in this nice little channel anymore, but it's almost in the channel, right? So like it's fine. Like things are still fine here for stocks. Again, Supremes make a decision. This will spike back into the channel, and we'll get more bull market. So there was NVIDIA woes. People were like, "Oh, NVIDIA has bad earnings," but their earnings were fine. So it wasn't NVIDIA. The stocks aren't falling on the basis of NVIDIA fears. So yeah, it's the Trump tariffs, guys. That's the only thing. Like all of this happened without any major news events. The Trump tariff is the only major like news fundamental thing that could explain, why there's problems happening. So that's what's going on. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. We'll just say I'm about 90% sure that's what's going on there. So, let's see. We have XMRChat. We'll hit these chats, and then I will hand the show back over. Okay, so unknown. There we go. Unknown tipped 0.01 XMR. Thank you. That's a nice tip. How about impact countries issuing stimulus? Saw Japan approved a stimmy payment allegedly, and Poppy Drumpf saying he will give the poors a tariff dividend allegedly. Oh man, I love the way you phrase that. Very.
Give me my stimmy.
There's so much. There's so much like stuff in there. All right. Impact of countries issuing stimulus. Stimulus is both mildly inflationary and also mildly positive for the economy. Every time they issue stimulus, stocks go up. And of course, people are going to spend money. The government printed money, and ultimately that's going to go to corporations for the things that people purchased. Japan approved a stimulus payment, allegedly. I believe it. I don't see why not. And then Poppy is going to give the poor as a tariff dividend. He's probably going to be petulant about having his portion of his tariff struck down, so he might not actually do that. He says a lot of stuff, right? So we won't know until he actually does it. And it's not even a dividend. That's such a horseshit thing. Here's how the government actually works. They spend the money that they have, and they spend all of it. So they don't have Social Security. They don't have any of that shit. They don't have any of that money. They always spend it. They always pay someone from getting money from somewhere else, whether they printed it, whether they sold a treasury that was purchased with printed money, or whether they collected, bashed your fingers with a hammer to force you to pay your taxes, and then they spend it. So they wouldn't be giving anyone a tariff dividend. They would just call it a tariff dividend. That would just be like the name of the thing, and then they would print money or do whatever else they had to do that, right? That's or in some cases they'll be like, okay, we're going to give you more of your own taxes back on April 15th or whenever they cut the check. So yeah, that's not really like, but maybe maybe they'll give everyone $2,000. What, you can pay rent for a month, please. Yeah, by the way, Mexico, you can get a 3-bedroom apartment, in a nice modern condo for like $1,200 a month. Like you can live really nice in Mexico on fucking what you used to be able to live on nice in the United States 10 years ago. But, I know a lot of people don't like the Browns. They don't want to come to Mexico. They're friendly. At least they're friendly. They're nice guys. That's all I got, guys. I could probably find some other things to rant about, but there's no reason. I've already ranted long enough. Hopefully Jesus forgives me for ranting.
Everyone likes Bodies rants. Yes, no. So I think we're still waiting on Tony. I think he's coming up in just a second here, though. But yeah, honestly, it's looking pretty good for Monero. Because, and it's like, people say, price doesn't matter that much. Well, it does some to a degree. It helps the network, and it helps the network effect, and it helps liquidity. So it does a lot. I get the rejection of the whole the chasing culture. People are just chasing like Zcash is probably mostly people just chasing at this point. I have a hard time believing they actually got that many people to get onboarded in a way that they're going to be using Zcash, right? Because where can you use it other than Chipotle? Apparently, I don't know.
Wait, so Chipotle actually does accept Zcash directly?
No, it's not even them. There's a third party that has some kind of conversion. What's it called? It's there's this thing that has a few restaurants, a few US restaurants that Dunkin' Donuts, Chipotle. What's it called? Let me see. Which it's actually kind of a cool thing, to be fair. But other than Flexa, it's called Flexa. So they have some kind of integration with Flexa, which powers a few merchants for receiving fiat directly when you can pay in Zcash, I'll get fiat, that kind of stuff. It's kind of like Open Crypto Pay. It doesn't work the same, but Open Crypto Pay is pretty cool. And I did actually pay at a Spar because I was in Switzerland a few weeks ago, and I went to a Spar, a gas station. It's kind of like a convenience store. It's kind of like going to a 7-Eleven. I went to a Spar and I did pay with stuff in Monero because they have Open Crypto Pay, which is its open source protocol for being able to pay merchants directly. And then there's a backend service that DFX provides to optionally convert that crypto into their own fiat currency, which was the Swiss franc, which is pretty cool. And it works pretty well.
Cool. So they did. So they have a little bit. They did get a slight amount of integration of Zcash.
Yeah. So Zcash has the Flexa thing, which it does have a few merchants like Chipotle and Regal, and I don't know if they're ubiquitously supported everywhere though. But they have a few merchants that I guess use this system, which is kind of cool. But can you use Zcash on the dark web? Can you use Zcash to pay for your Movad subscription? I don't think so.
It was hard enough to get them to add Monero. They only did it way after the fact, and without a huge demand, no one's and it's hard to imagine. It's hard to envision suddenly this throng of people showing up with all their shielded Zcash saying, please let me pay. Let me give you Zcash, shielded Zcash. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. It should be noted also that, so we were talking about Price and Moonboy, Monero, the OG Monero bros, me and say Xenu, right? As the anti-Moonboy podcast, right? We are not anti-Moon. We are not anti-price go up, number go up. We are not anti-gains, okay? We are anti-Moon boy. Do not be a boy that is all about the moon.
No moon boys here.
Yes, we want price, but I'm not willing to tolerate moon boys in the process of though. I mean, obviously, I'm just kidding. We have to tolerate everyone. It's an open network. Anyone can fucking use it. I can't tell you not to use it. I can't even tell you not to be a moon boy. I would encourage you to rethink your life, bro. I'm not talking to anyone in particular. I just know that we get it's just it's like responding to Twitter, you always get the Twitter posts out there.
But we're seeing the downside of what that looks like with Zcash, where it just decides to do a negative 27% in a day, just because it's mostly almost all of the liquidity that's been going into speculation and then institutional pumping. So at some point they're gonna have to cash in and they're gonna have to cash out on that, right? So they're going to do it slowly over time while all the other speculators see what's going on and they start to pull out. And then you're left with everyone who bought at 700s left with, the crumbs. So
it's actually very problematic for Price in a lot of ways, unless you have just really strong corporate state support for your price like Bitcoin did for all these years, it's actually really bad for price, because all of the plebs that get in and bought those bags, bought the early speculator bags, all the plebs at the top, and they lose their money, they get dejected, they leave, they don't use the thing, and they don't come back, right? Unless you can do like Bitcoin did and just continually every 4 years put on some new crazy fraudulent all-time high, like, people don't come back. And so Monero would benefit far more from just steady organic adoption with the occasional pumps, and nothing too crazy. We will win doing that. It's not fast, and I'm sorry for those of you that want to get rich quick, but
like people trying to convert $30 million of Bitcoin straight to Monero.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could handle, if that kind of volume was. I mean, I think Monero could absorb 30 million. Yeah, price is going to spike, but it really is a shame. Like, Monero could have had that kind of support for volume, like that. We could be at that level at this moment. It's just that it was so suppressed, right? It was like all of the narratives. We could have had a lot of plebs that would have, like the ones that got in it for the gains and they stayed for the freedom, kind of, like, because it's like voting, like, it's easy to like go vote and feel like you're doing a freedom. And it's kind of the same way. It's like, it's easy to just like buy something and be like, yeah, I'm part of freedom now. And you sort of like mix these two things that are kind of overlapping. But we could have had a lot of those guys, and they would have stayed, and they would have been using Monero. But we, just the narratives that obviously certain people put out, that Monero's for criminals and all this other stuff, and removing it from the exchanges, right? That hurt our liquidity and it drove people away. In a way, it was good though, right? It forced the general community to build the infrastructure that actually is decentralized.
Yeah, very true. And I think it's working out. I think it's paying off. In a way, I guess you could say that like Zcash is there's a lot of seething in a way from Monero community. And I guess Zcash kind of is currently like winning the attention, but I just don't think it's gonna last. And a lot of people are rejecting it. So, but anyways, I think we'll go ahead and, so Tony's not up yet. I think we'll move into viewers on stage, and then as soon as he comes up, we'll do the news. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. Thank you so much, Bawdy, for coming up.
No problem.
As always. And let's run the viewers on stage. If I can find the video, because it keeps moving. There it is.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
All right, we just got Elias and Shortwave Surfer here in the backstage.
You know the Monero markets that could use some more liquidity?
Probably XMR Bazaar.
I was going to say the Monero razor market, the Monero soap market, the Monero shampoo market, like those could all use some more liquidity. Fix it.
The Monero soap market? What is that, like Tyler Durden soap or something?
Yeah, like your Irish Spring bar soap or your Dove or whatever the hell you use.
I want to start a soap company called Tyler Durden Soap now.
There you go.
You'll probably get a lot of fucking federal oversight to make sure that you're not sprinkling in sawdust into the rendered fat. If you know, you know. Although I kind of like Nick Fuentes. So he kind of went off on some of these movies that he's like, these movies are gay. He's like, if you liked Lord of the Rings and you just like were glued to the screen, all these hobbits are like all hugging each other and they're like, oh, Sam, then you're probably kind of gay. He talked about Fight Club also like being kind of gay. And listen, for those of us that didn't have 20 years of cool shit, you know, like cool media, all we had was Fight Club and The Matrix, guys. All right, so don't hate. So it's kind of like a nostalgia. But it's also like, oh God, I'm in my mid-30s and I have a well-paying job and everything is fine. So I have to go destroy a bunch of shit because life has no meaning. Like, bro. And all you needed to do is go like exercise. Right? That's basically what that movie is he needed to get laid and he needed to exercise, and that's like his life would have been fine.
I heard a really good breakdown of the book because after I read the book, I was kind of having trouble digesting the material because it could go a lot of ways. And this guy did this excellent breakdown on how the intention of the writer was to like tell a story about how our civilization is destroying masculinity. And it was supposed to like highlight some of the backlashes that come out of the death of masculinity in our society. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I read the book as well. It doesn't end the way the movie ends either. The movie actually ends kind of cool. The book ends. No one's going to read the book. He ends up in a insane asylum. But everyone is still calling him sir and giving him winks and nods, even like inside the insane asylum. So he like started a movement that it was totally beyond his control. A decentralized movement. Independent clubs that have sprung up all over the nation.
I'm more than comfortable spending the rest of my life in an insane asylum if the Monero movement can capture the hearts and minds of the masses.
Are you the Tyler Durden of Monero? Is that what's going on?
I mean, I'd volunteer. I'm probably not qualified, but I'll certainly, if the spot's open, I'll do it until somebody better comes along. No problem.
Everyone wants to be the Tyler Durden of Monero. Nobody wants to be the Cornelius.
I'll be the Robert Paulson, if that's the only.
Fuck, bro, come on. Ideations of sacrifice. Please no. Actually, I always thought it was interesting that Robert Paulson, he was the one guy that Cornelius made an exception for, because you're not getting into this house, fatty, your tits are too big, and then so he starts walking away, right? And then Ed's like, wait, no, you just have to do this, and it's like he's the only guy that died, like that they showed that died in the whole movie, and he's also the only guy that they made an exception for.
Yeah, that was actually part of the case about the whole book being about masculinity and stuff, where the guy was kind of analyzing that because they made an exception and he didn't make the cut, it cost him his life. And that's supposed to be like, masculinity is supposed to be like a cult of exceptionalism almost, or at least in its roots. Like there was this idea that you have tiered exceptionalism. And by carving out an exception for that exceptionalism, all you're doing is you're setting up the other man to fail. And so it was like this whole thing about no shortcuts. I wish I could remember where in the hell I found that.
No, I mean it's about competency, right? Like he didn't have competency to pass the first threshold, the first bar, to sort of get into Fight Club boot camp or whatever their house was.
I should go back to that material. It's been a really long time. I'm sure it would mean something totally different to me now.
Yeah, it was a cool movie back in the day. Like, got you thinking, because it was the beginning. Maybe not the beginning, but it was definitely like mid-swing consumerism was ramping up. So there were some lessons to be learned there. And again, we didn't have like crazy trippy movies. I guess we had Pulp Fiction, right? That was a good start. What does Gen Z think of Pulp Fiction? Are they like, yeah, it's like a fun boomer movie, I guess. Little date, like, or are they like, no, it's
really interesting question. What does Gen Z think about? That opens up a whole can of worms too. I wonder what they would think of a lot of the stuff that like built the kind of the subcultures of the day back then.
Tux, if you're around, I think you qualify as Gen Z, don't you? Or are they younger than you? You're definitely not a millennial.
No, I think I would be Gen Z, right on the cusp.
What would they say about Pulp Fiction?
Oh, Gen Z about Pulp Fiction? I think Pulp Fiction's well accepted by Gen Z.
What about so I mean Fuentes kind of hated on Fight Club, but what does Gen Z think of Fight Club?
I mean, I think in general people like Fight Club. Even with Gen Z.
Not anymore. Not after Fuentes.
Well, like, you know, he's very opinionated, and he's like a trendsetter, so he can say what he wants, and then some people start following him. But he's also kind of a contrarian, so he likes to counter signal things that people think is like good or popular, and so he'll speak against it.
I think he also hated Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You hate the Lord of the Rings movies.
But yeah, I couldn't really watch the Lord of the Rings. In like in a way, he's right, because like Fight Club, it kind of is like this. You know, it kind of there's like this whole thing about portraying this sort of loser mentality, which is like kind of antithetical to you actually becoming like better. But then like Lord of the Rings, I don't know, I just never really got into it. Like I started watching it when I was like 12 or 13, and it was just so boring to me, and I couldn't really get into it.
I watched it maybe it was about a year ago. For whatever reason, it was in the theater. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't want to watch any of this other crap. And I was bored. Yeah, it's like, this is not like, the dialogue is just mundane. You know, they're like, it's always like, things are now in motion. We have to fight, and victory, and I don't know. It's like, it just felt generic. And I mean, the scenes were kind of cool, but it was just like constant fighting. I read the books when I was young.
You know, in Clerks 2, when he talks about it's 3 movies that are too long about walking. All they do is walking. And here's the extended version, and then he just starts walking again.
Although the Shire was basically like an example of anarchy in action. They had a mayor, but like his only job was to like, I don't know, like something ceremonial. He didn't actually do anything. And I think they also had a sheriff, but like he also didn't really do anything. But yeah, I mean, if you really like, it's really not. I don't want to hate on J.R. Tolkien or anything, but you know, it's not. I guess it's an example of. Actually, I was watching something on Dune the other day. I was watching what is his name? Herbert. I can't remember. John Herbert, the guy that wrote Dune. Anyways, he sent his book to J.R. Tolkien and said, "Hey, would you mind, you know, reading this and, you know, critiquing it?" And J.R. Tolkien is like such a nice guy. He was like, he would never say anything, you know, mean to people. So his response was something like, "Well, this isn't really for me. You know, it's not really my style, and I didn't find it enjoyable, and so I'm just gonna send this back to you." That's about like the worst insult he could have said.
Ouch.
Yeah, but it's funny because Dune is amazing. Like everything about like the universe that was constructed there, and Star Wars is a total fucking ripoff of Dune, by the way. It's disgusting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a complete ripoff. Like everything that is in Dune. The only thing that Star Wars has that Dune doesn't is lightsabers. Everything else is like, you know, they got the worm.
Vindicated.
Say what?
Star Wars haters vindicated.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is cool, but it's only cool because Dune is cool, and it ripped off Dune and packaged it in this like much more digestible format for everybody. You know, when it comes to Fuentes, I think I feel like he's like kind of like Andrew Tate in some ways. Like he'll say stuff that's just completely outlandish, and it's like he's not like, it's not that he's saying this is 100% the truth. He's just expressing like kind of a directional truth in a way that's extremely entertaining.
Yeah, and it's like some people are like just overhype certain things. You know what I mean? Like some people are like they kind of soyify, like fucking Star Wars. Like Star Wars at one point kind of was cool, and then people got way over obsessed with it, and it suddenly made it like culturally kind of sort of like uncool, right? So it's kind of in a way a rejection of that.
Yeah.
There's this concept that so I don't know if you guys remember, but the minute that it was announced that Disney was buying the IP for Star Wars, I was very interested to see what happens, because it was almost like somebody had transferred corporate ownership of what was effectively a religion. And I wanted to see what happened when somebody like owned a religion, because the last time that happened would be, way back in the day when Christianity kind of like broke up and certain people just like staked a claim on what the true Christianity was, like the great schism between the Universalists and the Orthodox and all that other stuff. And then watching them kind of transmorph into whatever versions of Christianity that they became after that, I guess you could say, like, buyout took place. And then watching it happen with Star Wars, where it went from like people trying to tell a story, but each subsequent addition to the story was like a little worse than the last. And now all of a sudden you have this IP, its entire purpose is to basically milk the fan base for as much money as humanly possible. And just watching the way that it changed was fascinating to me.
We have Kenny Pollarantano on YouTube. I'm sorry, bro. I've always said Pollarantano, but I'm reading your name. I'm realizing I'm pronouncing it wrong. Anyways, Kenny's on the YouTube commentary, helping out here. You should come on stream, bro. You have good comments and insight. So first of all, Frank Herbert. I don't know where John came into my head, but Frank Herbert is the one that wrote the Dune series. And let's see. He also listed a bunch of cool movies that are worth watching. They Live, Brazil, Akira, Gits, Metropolis, Tron, Bulworth, Network. All great films in the same vein, but a decade or more before Fight Club and The Matrix. I actually watched They Live the other day because I've just seen the meme all, with the glasses, where they see the weird like alien people that don't have any skin or whatever, and with the glasses you can see the signs: consume, obey, right? And it's all like the magazines. It's an interesting movie. It's it's a good 80s movie. At the end is fucking trippy, man, because if there's really aliens, and it probably is, like, and if there are, this is what's happening. There are humans already part of the alien breakaway civilization at the end of this fucking movie. I know I kind of gave it away, but whatever. Because no one's going to watch it. There's fucking humans at the, in the breakaway civilization that are cooperating with the aliens to like enslave humanity. Anyways, Kenny, hope you come on the show. Bulworth is also a good one, man. Nihilist
tip from Nihilist 0.00123 XMR. I have noticed how we now displayed an XMR instead of fiat. I'm sure a certain someone here had a part in making sure that happened. Shortwave. By the way, I'm brainstorming making a new anonymity network like Tor or I2P, calling it Nowhere Network, designing it to make Sybil attacks futile with an onion link that I can't copy from this comment directly.
That sounds interesting. I'd also have a look at Reticulum because I think it's basically similar to Tor or I2P, but it can run over TCP or its own like thing. So like you could connect two Ethernet computers together that don't have an IP address from anywhere else, and they could establish an IPv6 link local address, and you could run Reticulum over that.
How good is I2P? Is it like faster? Is there growing?
That's a good question. When I've used it, it's been terrible. Like, I have my Tor onion node for Monero, and then I tried Offering XMR's I2P node for Monero synchronization, and my onion node was like 5 or 6 times faster Tor to Tor than I2P to I2P. It was really terrible.
When did you say that was? How long ago was that?
A couple of months.
Yeah, damn it. Kenny, what's up, man?
Yo, how's it going, guys? Been listening for a while. It's a great conversation.
Yeah, I know, man. You're all about the media. You've like consumed so many novels and movies and stuff. You're a repository of information.
Yeah, like too much to some degree, probably. But at the same time, it lets me have that, when somebody's like, oh, I want a movie that's like this, or oh, I want a book that's about this. then I know him usually. So it's useful to some degree, but many thousands of hours.
Honestly, fiction is the only like kind of books that I could understand. I hate self-help books.
Yeah. I don't read much nonfiction myself. I mean, if you look at the last century and a half, so many of the best sci-fi and fantasy authors were like hardcore anarchists or libertarians, or at least wrote that way, even if they didn't realize it. So I feel like I find new ideas and like I get new angles on the philosophy through reading stories about aliens and stuff from 60 years ago, because the guy that wrote it sat down and was like putting this philosophy into what would happen if two groups actually interacted and stuff. Yeah,
man. Frank Herbert was apparently like maybe not exactly an anarchist, but he was 100% like in that freedom vein.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, Tolkien specifically called himself an anarchist a few times. Heinlein, I mean, so many of them. And you can see it, and even in Star Wars, and even in the Hunger Games, and even in like the really mainstreamy stuff. It's like the story's usually a big authoritarian empire of some kind being attacked because it needs to get taken down by a bunch of effectively criminals, right? Like the good guys are criminals, and the bad guys are the ones in suits with titles. Like that's 80% of sci-fi movies.
What do you think of what do you guys think of Alongside Night, the book?
Oh, so good. I mean, yeah, good and not. Like the writing isn't the best in the world, but the book itself is great. I love it.
So they have a good storyline, a good plot, but
I really enjoyed it.
Not executed the best.
Yeah, very, very explicitly like anarchist libertarian, and like to the degree that it almost doesn't work as well for people that aren't already there. Like Larkin Rose's movie, like great movie, super entertaining, lots of good stuff. If you try to show it to a statist, they're probably not going to like it though.
Yeah, I thought it was a really, really good idea, but I felt like it was delivering you the message that it wanted you to have rather than letting the audience figure it out on their own. And you have to build that in. Good storylines, good plots, build, like, it forces the audience to put the pieces together on their own to come to the lesson that should be learned, as opposed to just delivering it on a silver platter.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so different. Especially if it's an idea that's new or something that goes against what they already think. Because if you try to tell them, then it's going to run into cognitive dissonance. It's going to run into the pre-existing beliefs. If you send them on an adventure, then it doesn't really matter what that end thing is, or if they already believe something the exact opposite of the lesson. By the time they get there, they've like been following the story. They're connected to the characters, and yeah, it gets to the brain in a whole different way. That's one of the things I love about fiction too. It's like it lets us, ones that are better, where the message is a little more hidden, it's a little more subtle, or at least it just isn't so blatant, then it allows us to get those messages to people that would never sit down and listen to something like this. They would never sit down and listen to or watch, a documentary about philosophy or economics or truth. But if it's in the story, it like sneaks past all of that.
Yeah.
Do you think Ayn Rand did a good job in Atlas Shrugged at that?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, better than many. It's definitely. I mean, there's a reason that it's so big. So many people have read it, and I mean, it's, again, I have pretty high standards when it comes to the actual, like, the quality of the writing, like the descriptions and the dialogue and that sort of thing. So she's not like, I wouldn't put her in my top 10 or anything, but the book obviously has helped a lot of people at least start down that path, at least start seeing, the rationalist, subjectivist, libertarian angle on things, and just the fact that it's like a good story with like some suspense and all that, like it draws people in. I wish the movies they'd made were not so mediocre and they didn't change actors every movie, so people would have watched it.
I couldn't even watch the movie. I started like 15 minutes in it, and it was so ridiculous. I was like, this is not even close to the nature of what the character of what this book is. And I think maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they wanted to make it look so cartoonish in character. They wanted to try and portray libertarianism as this immature kind of infantile way of looking at the world, because that's what it felt like.
Yep. Yeah.
Like you said, the books were, it's not like the best writing in the world, but it wasn't bad. Like especially the monologues. Like my favorite one, obviously, is Francisco d'Anconia monologue about money. You know, money being the root of all good, kind of thing. Turn the idea on its head.
Yeah. I had real trouble with John Galt's speech over the radio. Like that was very, very long and very, very deep. And it's like, okay, this is a bit much for me.
I hope AI gets to the point where like it's accessible for us to make movies on our own. I mean, I know that like high resource people with, you know, with all the skills can already make short clips. But it's really like it's still not quite like at that level that you could create consistent. Like for example, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. James Corbett talks about that one all the time, and I haven't read it, but the way he describes it sounds like really, really cool. It should be made into a movie.
Oh yeah, dude, Robert Heinlein, that's who wrote The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. He is one of the greatest writers of all time, I think, and he has dozens of books like that. I mean, he actually has a whole series of books and stories in that same exact timeline as The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, so you can like follow it as it goes forward for a couple hundred years. But all of his books basically are like, I mean, he wrote for 70 years, so there's a wide range, but he was always moving closer and closer to freedom. He was always picking stuff apart. I mean, he's got crazy stuff. So good. The best one I think is Stranger in a Strange Land, probably. It about somebody from another planet coming here, and then the interactions, and like it's so good. That view of like being able to take a statist, you know, corporate, like just a, you know, the normal world that we see right now, and having someone who's totally outside of that and has never seen that before be the main point of view. So then people are explaining it to them, and they're asking, it's like when you have to explain this stuff to a kid, you know, but it's so deep. Such a good book. Yeah, he has a bunch of really good ones. In the what is it? The Cat That Walks Through Walls. There's a line where this guy he's in the future, like 1,000 years in the future or whatever, and the people are explaining this wildly complex system that exists and how people trade and how people do everything. And he's like, and it's all very like independent. It's like they, you know, people are sovereign. And he's like, wow, it sounds like anarchy. Isn't that what is this? And the person who's explaining is like, oh no, we're nowhere near as organized as all of
that. Wait, what? We're nowhere near as organized as anarchy?
I like it. Exactly.
That's great. My only problem with fiction is that it's definitely a big time investment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the number of books that are of the really good ones that are like 300, 400, 500 pages long is a lot. And most people don't read that fast. And even if you're listening to it, it's like one book's going to be what, 8, 10, 12 hours a lot of times to listen to. Yeah.
I'm a big sci-fi reader, but I've been reading things like David Brin and Andy Weir, like The Martian, and Artemis. Things like that is what I enjoy reading.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's what I need to do is
put on Project Hail Mary.
Put on the audiobooks while I'm in the gym. Because I hate the gym. Like I go there, but
yes, audiobooks are beautiful. Audiobooks are beautiful and should be worshipped.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The only thing I hate is when I've got an audiobook on or like some kind of like podcast on, and it's like I want to like really digest the material, and 10 minutes go by and I'm like, wait, fuck. I just missed all of that. Rewind.
Okay, yeah, see, that does not happen for me. With me, actually reading, like sitting down and reading a book is more likely for me not to retain the information. But if I listen to it with audio, I'm going to retain it.
Well, usually I'm doing something else at the same time, right? Like it's a way to sort of like do two things at once. But maybe I only end up doing like 1.5 things at the same time. So.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
I think I'm gonna put The Moon is a Harsh Mistress on my list here. Start adding audiobooks. Because yeah, I'm bored of podcasts. Like there's only so much you can listen to people just be like, and then I don't know, the news or whatever. Like There's only so much of that you can listen to before it just gets old.
What I do is I carve time out of my day to sit and read. So like I will just sit down and read, like listen to an audiobook, and do nothing else and take time away from my screens. I won't touch them. I'll sit there, it'll be on my, like the book will be playing from my phone, but I just won't touch my screen or anything like that. And I'll just sit for several hours and listen to the book.
That's cool.
Yeah, I fall asleep if I try. I can sit and read books for hours. I mean, I stayed up like way too late last night because I was finishing a book. But if I put on an audiobook, like it just doesn't even, either I pass out if I'm not doing something else, or chapters go by and I'm like, wait, I don't think I heard any of that. So I envy the ability.
Yeah, I can actually stay up. Like that's when I pull all-nighters, because I'll get into a book and I'll be like, turn, keep reading, and then realize it's like 5 a.m. It's like crap.
Yep. The one I'm reading right now is Neil Stephenson, another great very libertarian author. It's called The Diamond Age, and our old friend Bowdy, Nathan Freeman, actually introduced me to it way back when, and it's so good. The only downside is the guy doesn't do chapters. It's just like every however long there's like a little break between sections, and usually chapters are how I stop myself from staying up all night. But the book is so good. The whole thing is like in the future, and it's basically the world is post-scarcity due to nanotech and molecular engineering. That's kind of like the foundation.
Yeah, see, that sounds like my kind of book.
It's so good. Like, this is my first time reading through it, but I've been hearing about it for years and years, and I knew just that concept of like, it's called the Diamond Age because there's no glass, because glass is complex. Diamond is a simple repeating pattern of carbon. So with the little nano machines, they just print diamonds. So all glass is diamond instead. And it's one of those that like, it's this beautiful science fiction world, and then you start to learn kind of how more dystopia it is in some ways, but then there's this like huge libertarian push that's happening that, yeah, it's so good. I had to stop with like 20-30 pages left because it was like hours past my bedtime last night, but it's been my favorite book of the year probably.
Man, I have a hard time in envisioning a technological future that isn't dystopian to some degree or another. The problem is that the technology gets so, how can you put it, embedded, not just embedded, but like, not just insidious, but like especially in the nano sense and nanobots, like there's no way to stop it. Like you can't stop someone from spraying the skies with nanobots that you're going to breathe in. Like in some ways, like it's hard to envision a technological future that doesn't have massive dystopian aspects to it.
Kaczynski's right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
For anybody who hasn't read that, I don't know what you call it, like a manuscript or a book or a paper, but Ted Kaczynski had said a lot about how like progress would inevitably lead to just this, it's impossible for it to not become tyrannical. It's like one of the concepts in all of that, and it's everything is panned out to be true so far.
Yeah, I think it is definitely a thing from where we're at, because of like the trajectory we're on, where we're coming from. Like it's going, they've got all this power and they've got all this control and they've got access to stuff pretty early usually. So they use the technological advancements to their benefit, especially in the short run before the masses get access to it. But I think on the longer scale, the 50, 100, 150, 200 year scale, it levels out. It works the other direction. Like at first the factories were purely good for the capitalists, like top class, like the people running them. But then now we get to the point where the factories get smaller and smaller. It's easier and easier to start your own. We moves to 3D printing. I think in the long run, we've got a good chance. But yeah, over the short term, there's nobody with robot dogs besides DARPA. There's nobody with quantum computers, if they exist, besides DARPA and their friends. Like in the short run, because we're coming out of this crazy totalitarian world, the technology is more worrisome. But I feel like in the long run, especially if we do get actual artificial intelligence, like consciousness. I feel like having access to all the data and having access to all the history and all of that, they would probably be pretty libertarian pretty quickly. They'd be like the whole thing from the Matrix of like, oh, humans are a virus. That was one of the things I feel like was so off, because it's like, well, that's not humans. That's not humans that are doing all this massive destruction of the environment and all this massive oppression of each other. That's not every human doing that. That's like a few very specific belief systems or institutions that suck people in. And I think over time that stuff can definitely phase out. Yeah, I would highly recommend anybody that wants some really good, I wouldn't say utopian in the sense of can't exist or like perfect with no, trouble or anything, but really good not dystopian sci-fi is Ian M. Banks, Iain M. Banks. He's a Scottish anarchist. He wrote a series called The Culture, which is absolutely mind-blowing about this like galaxy-spanning culture that has humans and non-humans and artificial intelligence, and they're all sovereign beings, and just absolutely insanely good. And each book like dives really deep into different facets of the psyche or reality or whatever, but it's all from this point of view of this society where it's like anarchist Star Trek, like that level of post-scarcity and that level of tech, but not like there's no government, there's no laws really. It's so good.
That name sounds very familiar. Isn't he the one like the Banks orbital is named after? Like he came to the space station?
Yep.
Oh, by the way, and Tony's about ready, so just to let you go.
Cool. We have an XMR chat here. Phase 2 tipped 0.001 XMR. Philip K. Dick is another great science fiction writer. Great dystopian themes in most of his books. I overpronounce Dick because I guess XMRChat blocks out the fuck words.
It censors Dick, even though that's a name. It's a valid name.
That is definitely my favorite science fiction author as well. But I would also say it's not for everybody. I think a lot of people would hate reading his work. But I love it. He's my favorite.
So I guess last thing before we go to the news with Tony, I wanted to throw a theory out there at you guys. So probably everyone here knows about the geomagnetic excursion that we are kind of currently already in, and the hypotheses of maybe the actual axis might tilt, right? The poles might actually flip, not just the magnetic field, but the actual poles. I have a new theory on that would be aggrandizing my theory, because it's not a theory, it's just an idea, that the pyramids were actually a rotational and geomagnetic stabilization. That's what the pyramids were for. They were there to make sure that the magnetic field wouldn't flip, to stabilize it, to keep it strong. You had copper, right? You had massive copper lines running through the entire pyramid. It is kind of an energy generation device, but it also had that gold cap at the top. And so the idea being that like the pterodactyl couldn't have flown in our current atmosphere. We had like at least 2x the atmosphere at the time the pterodactyl was around, because it was too heavy. Like the dynamics don't work out there. And then obviously, the stories about people living for 500 to 1,000 years. So maybe like the pyramids were some kind of like stabilization over the magnetic field to have a very strong field that was required to support higher atmosphere and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's just an idea, but I thought it might be interesting.
I don't know. It would really depend on gravity, I think, to determine how much atmosphere the planet could actually hold in before it would get stripped off into space.
No, it's the magnetic field. That's why Mars doesn't have an atmosphere. Mars is not that much smaller than the Earth, but its atmosphere is vastly smaller because it has no magnetic field. Because the sun, all of those particles, that's what strips away the atmosphere. But the magnetic field protects the atmosphere from the sun stripping, basically pulling off, blasting the air particles out into space.
The fuck the fucking fuckers tipped 0.001 XMR blank 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 ucker mother blanker blank fart blank and blank. Thank you.
Maybe we could say it is uck unt uck ucker other ucker it's art and what.
All right then.
That's like me talking to. That's what my conversations with AI look like. changed my indentation from 3 spaces to 4. A string of cuss words. I'm sorry, I cannot help with that.
Body hates the clankers.
I'll be the first one to go. Either that or they'll respect me for saying it and they'll be like, this is the only one we're keeping.
Wouldn't that be entertaining? Robots take over and they're like, all right, everybody who is way too in favor of this, you're clearly dumb. We're going to kill you off. All of those who are worried about us taking over, you know what's up. We're keeping you around.
Only haters welcome. Only the toxic will survive.
That's another interesting piece in the media, like from science fiction media through the mainstream. Just the conversation around robots and artificial intelligence these days it's like so much more common than it's ever been, and it's so like most of the time not based in anything factual or historical or current tech. Like it's crazy. People saw Terminator plus 20 other movies, and then they heard about ChatGPT, and it's like 20%, 25% of the people I interact with are like terrified that we already have full-on actual AI that can think, and that it's gonna go Skynet anytime now. And I'm like, have you used ChatGPT or Grok? Like we don't have to worry about them being too smart yet. Like we're far from that.
Tony is now ready.
All right, guys. I think we'll go ahead and jump into the news. Tony, thanks for everyone for coming up on the viewers on stage.
Cheers.
And I'll go ahead and run the segment.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, Tony, how's it going?
Hey, everybody. Good. How are you guys?
Doing all right. Thanks for
You're
coming
traveling
on.
quite a lot. Oh, thank you guys for bearing with me. I got just slammed at work, and then so thank you for patiently waiting.
Not a problem.
All right. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the news section. We have a lot of things to cover, a lot of interesting things, like always. So, the first thing is about the Monero node RPC endpoints that now have 100% fuzzing coverage. Kenny said, thanks for having me on, y'all. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, everybody that jumped on. And by the way, if you guys have anything that you would like us to cover in the news section, you can just drop the link and then I'll pay attention. I'm watching the chat too, or if you guys have anything that you want to say. But so the Monero node RPC endpoints now have 100% fuzzing coverage. So the proposal summary is that it's been observed that the most commonly reported vulnerability to the Monero HackerOne program were related to RPC vulnerabilities affecting the availability of nodes. And this proposal sought a more proactive approach to catch these vulnerabilities before they were reported or exploited. And this is what this project was about. And now I'm going to go to this tab. So the Monero node code base now has greatly improved fuzzing coverage over its most vulnerable component, the RPC, including 100% coverage of RPC endpoints, functions, and 84% coverage of the core RPC server. So this is huge stuff. This improvement is thanks to work by Ada Logics, which was funded and contracted through Magic Grants Monero Fund. And a bit about fuzzing. So fuzzing is an automated code testing technique. Involves providing random or unexpected data as the inputs of a computer program. And then it monitors the program for crashes, potential memory leaks, or other anomalies. And good fuzzing tools can create inputs which are valid enough to be accepted by a program, but are invalid enough to cause problems in corner cases that are not properly dealt with. So, not a good news for Monero, and it just keeps getting stronger, which is good. Then we have CypherGoat. I just wanted to mention CypherGoat in case you didn't know about it. If you'd like to stay up to date with Monero, new stuff, it's a very good website. So you guys can check it out. And then just talks about recent news, price chart, technical analysis a little bit. It has memes as well, funding, all kinds of stuff. So you guys should check it out. Then we have ShopinBit. So they posted 2 days ago, XMR is #1 used currency for October on ShopinBit again, which is nice. So Monero is 49.87%, almost 50%, followed by Bitcoin at 44%, and then Fiat 0.61 and Lightning 0.1%. So it's only 1% because you don't accept or just left Zcash off the list. That's funny. Of course, nobody used that crypto for real payments, just for wash trade. That's a funny comment. Yep. Now moving.
That's the thing. In many cases, anywhere where Monero is accepted, it quickly becomes #1 or is #2.
Yes, at least #1 or #2. Then Monero GUI 0.18.4.4 Florine Fermi has been released. It's a recommended release that fixes a bug with Ledger hardware wallet when rejecting secret view key export. So this has been released. Then quickly, I see sometimes posts like this, and then some people may be listening for the first time, so I bring it up. But Fussy Cocker posted on Reddit, new to Monero, can someone explain to me why it's better than Bitcoin? And I know I may be asking for a lot, but can someone explain a guy who's desperate for escaping control from governments and who is a true libertarian why Monero is better than Bitcoin in every way? Thanks in advance, and I appreciate it a lot. Then if you look in the comments, I just love the comments and how helpful people are. And I love the ratio of likes to comments, just people helping out and reaching. And there's so many resources nowadays where you can learn about Monero, which is awesome. Versus, years ago when we just had mastering Monero. Now you have a lot of resources. But yeah, so somebody said, for example, the difference is that the people who made XMR designed to be 100% private, and he talks about that. But somebody else added that the most important thing is that it's fungible. So then it can actually work as cash. So Bitcoin does not have privacy. It's not private by default. Monero is private by default. And it's fungible. It can be used as a currency, which is it's very important, because if you know that this Bitcoin has been used by a criminal or this Bitcoin has been used by some famous person, then it just has more value because you have that information. But when you don't, you don't know, and one unit equals 1 unit, that's what you need to have in a currency. And there's also differences, like for example, Bitcoin is using ASICs, and we'll talk about ASICs a bit later, and some issues with ASICs. But in Monero, you can't use ASICs, you use CPU. So a lot of stuff that we can talk about, but these are the main things. Then this is an ad, which I love how people also, when somebody's posting a service on the subreddit, people guide people to post on XMR Bazaar as well, or Monerica. But this individual is a New York City math tutor, accepted Monero. So he said, hello, I'm a New York City-based math tutor, currently pursuing my master's degree. I have a prior experience teaching, attended specialized, all this stuff. So yeah, if you guys need this guy for math tutoring, go and reach out to him. And then you can pay in Monero as well. Then privacygateway.io has been launched. This is new, by the way, just as of a couple of days ago. So you can swap Bitcoin, USDT to XMR, RPC node, mine XMR, no bullshit. And this is the website. Now, some people said, yeah, so please treat with caution as this seems new. And there's some people saying that why should anybody pay you 4% for swapping when there are great swaps for under 1%, high fees. So I don't know. It's something new. Check it out if you want. I didn't test the fees, but well, hopefully they're not that high, or at least that they'll drop. But check it out. Wait, sorry, there we go. That's the website. So yeah, you can swap RPC node, mining pool. So check it out, and always be careful because it seems to be a new business. Then I like this quite a lot. So Monero is getting harder to access. Hence, this person is launching Ghost Drip, A small project, but one I'm proud of. The person said, it automates DCA into Monero. No KYC. Every DCA platform wants your ID. Ghoststrip is the first one that doesn't. We reserve tools that respect privacy. And I haven't been on the website, so we'll do it together for the first time. Let's check it out. Okay, so it says it's risky. Okay. I guess we'll proceed anyway. It's not working. Okay.
So blocked.
And I'm gonna get a virus. Oh wait, sorry. I just canceled the whole screen. Hold on. Okay.
He got hacked, guys.
It's over. Thanks. There we go. Okay. Body said Ghoststrip is a really good name. Yeah, it's a good name. It's solid marketing. I just wish that it worked. How's it different than just using Trocador app directly? Ghoststrip automates it. Trocador is great for one-off swaps, but for Ghoststrip, schedules them weekly, monthly, triggers them off on-chain with your allowance, then auto deletes the strategy after execution or failures. That's cool. So it is cool. I wish it was working. So hopefully next time it's gonna work, and hopefully nothing happens to my computer. So I am on a Windows, and it's Windows 10 too. And they are dropping support for it. But moving on, BinanceUS bring back the cypherpunks, and then when you see something like that, you just gotta go in the comment section, and it's quite funny. Untraceable posted, impressive, very nice. Now let's see the comment section. And oh, this is nice. Schmidt posted when they deleted Monero and some other ones. So yeah, I guess if it's time to bring back the cypherpunk, then bring the OG back. But they're not gonna do it, of course. Then let's see. Privacy Watch. So a lot of things being launched. Nikita is launching Privacy Watch. It's a tracker for leading privacy cryptos that ranks them by total shielded supply rather than plain market cap. Featuring Monero, of course, number 1, Zcash, second, Zeno, Pirate Chain, Litecoin, and more to come. I did not click on this one, so we'll do it live again. And it works. Cool. This one works. So that's pretty cool. That's really cool, actually. So we have Monero, obviously, Zcash, Zeno, Pirate Chain, and then they can add more. Then you have the dominance, overall dominance, the privacy method. This is really cool. Bit of price, shielded, obviously 100%. Zcash 29.96%, which is not much at all. Zeno 100%, Pirate Chain 100%. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. And then let's see what else. Okay, let's get into this. Talks about it if you have more things to add on this one, because I'm not sure what to add. But so Tracelon uses Crescent discovery for their Monero investigations.
This looks like it was from over a year ago.
Yeah, I think. How did I get this one? I think somebody posted. We can probably. I think I've seen it on Reddit or something. I don't know. That's about Tracy Monero and stuff. Actually, I think we can just skip this one. Let's just do that, and let's go into Bitcoin and Epstein. So, because we talked about it last time too, and then we'll talk about it a bit more. And before we actually get into this post, we'll go on this article from MXC. Newly released documents detail Epstein's influence on Bitcoin's early development, which is interesting. So the U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform recently released new documents that revealed Jeffrey Epstein's hidden financial influence. And he donated quite a lot of money. The records show that Epstein assisted MIT's digital currency initiative by providing funding for Bitcoin Core development. So make what you want out of this, but of course it's interesting, and we got to talk about it. Epstein accused of funding Bitcoin Core development. At the center of this development is Joichi Ito, the former director of the MIT Media Lab. The Media Lab is a renowned interdisciplinary research a hub focusing on media, technology, and innovation. Ito was instrumental in steering the lab towards blockchain and digital currencies. I'll read most of this because it's just worth it. So I'll just read it verbatim. But in 2015, amid Bitcoin's volatile early years, Ito launched the Digital Currency Initiative, DCI, under the Media Lab. The DCI aimed to advance blockchain research and provide stable and sustainable funding for long-term Bitcoin devs. The new documents from the House Committee on Oversight now reveal that Ito relied on funds from Epstein to launch DCI, and quite a bit of money. So in 2017, Epstein facilitated at least $750,000 in donations to DCI. This included gift funds that Ito thanked Epstein for in an email titled Digital Currency Initiative, which you can see here from Jeffrey Epstein, subject Digital Currency Initiative. And for your information, use gift funds to underwrite this, which allowed us to move quickly and win this round. Thanks. He explained that 3 major developers, including Vladimir van der Laan and Corey Fields, agreed to join MIT. The email highlighted that some money came from prominent academics, including IMF economist Simon Johnson and cryptographer Ron Rivest. The document also uncovered Epstein's early fascination with Bitcoin. Ito handed his resignation in September 2019 after the investigations revealed that the prestigious research facility had received funding from Epstein. That's wild. And MIT had disclosed that Epstein had donated a total of $850,000 to the institution, of which $525,000 was directed at the Media Lab. However, investigative journalist Ronan Farrow claimed that the MIT Media Lab had received $7.5 million, which is a huge difference, via Epstein. This is besides an anonymous $5 million donation from Epstein associated Leon Black, and talks about this stuff. So make what you want out of it. I still think it's very interesting. And then we'll go to this one posted by Parallel Mike. And he says, so Bitcoin now joins the Grand Epstein pedo conspiracy matrix. Recent email dump reveals core devs were on his payroll. I think this finally complete the Bitcoin PSYOP bingo card. And yeah, this actually doesn't have much relevant information, but yeah, so that was that. Bitcoin and Epstein. Then FCMP++ Stressnet V version 1.5 is almost done with big memory and syncing fixes ready, and the update expected within days. So that's amazing. Then let's talk about ASICs, because we talked a little bit about it in the beginning. So this is precisely why I don't like ASICs, says Monero Bull. And we're going to go on this article from Cointelegraph. So Bitcoin ASIC producer Bitmain under US investigation over national security risk. And Bitmain is quite dominant in the space. So this is not good. But the US authorities are investigating Chinese Bitcoin mining hardware giant Bitmain over potential national security risks tied to alleged remote capabilities. So they are leading Bitcoin mining application-specific integrated circuit manufacturer. Bitmain, they're based in China, and now there's an Operation Red Sunset for them. This investigation, led by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, reportedly seeks to determine whether the ASICs could be remotely controlled for spying or to sabotage the U.S. power grid. So the U.S. authorities previously investigated Bitmain-linked Chinese chip designer Xiaomen Sofco over an alleged business relationship with U.S.-sanctioned company Huawei in October 2024. All these things, the consequences for the U.S. crypto mining industry could be far-reaching, since Bitmain controls over 80% of the Bitcoin mining ASIC market, according to a Cambridge report, which is huge. It's very dominant. Chinese dominance in the industry is even more ironclad, with both Bitmain and the second largest manufacturer, MicroBT, based in mainland China, controlling 97% of the market share on their own. So this is big, and this is why we don't allow ASICs, so we don't have problems like this in Monero, and that's why you run your CPU.
Supply chain is much easier to control when it's manufactured ASICs.
Yeah. What a news. Wow. just so many less things to worry about when you're just fungible, private, you just run your CPU. So many things are out of the equation. And it's truly decentralized. It's hard to go door by door and do you run a node? Do you run a node? So now let's see, we have just a bit more. This one is we'll go over it. It's a bit sensational. Definitely sensational. So we finally know why the market crashed on 10th of October and why it just can't bounce, by Ren and Neuner. And make what you want of it. So he wrote, we never really understood why the big crypto crash started on October 10th and why we couldn't even get a single meaningful bounce. There's been some bounces, not too big, but yeah. Today the answer seems simple. Let me break it down. That's like MSTR, BMNR, and others have been one of the two big buyers that power the cycle. But the AT game is simple. You need to be the biggest so you get the big indices, and when you do, passive index trackers are forced to buy large amounts of your stock. As they do, you get bigger and get added to more indices, and so the cycle perpetuates. On exactly 10th of October, MSCI, the world's second biggest index company, published the below. They're questioning whether companies that hold crypto assets as the core business should be considered as companies or funds, which is interesting. If they are funds, they are not included in passive indexing. Why? Because this creates a circular loop. The fund buys assets, gets bigger, and then is included in more indices and buys more assets. The expected ruling will be announced on 15th of January 2026, and if this does pass, the companies like MSTR will be automatically removed from all indices. I can't wait to talk about this. That'll be quite some news to talk about next year. If this happens, it would mean that all the pension funds, normal funds, and all other passive index holders would dump their MSTR automatically. It would also mean that going forward, they would never be included. And as such, one of the big reasons why they actually exist would disappear. Since that's have been powering the cycle and have been most of the buying pressure, the smart money saw this immediately after the 10th of October announcement and positioned accordingly. The 10th of October wasn't a coincidence after all. It was a smart money seeing a big risk to crypto and the current market structure. The market will probably continue to dump until around the end of December, and if the announcement is negative, we will get a huge dump in preparation for the removal from the indices. For sure, it's going to dump. On the other hand, if it is positive, the bull market is back. Now, make what you want of it. Is this a reason? I don't know, but it was worth a read. And this just takes me back to, we talked about it on the news, about how before it all went down, how this individual or company, fund, I don't know, somebody just shorted Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they made just massive amounts of money, $300 million on it going down, just crazy money. But yeah, so make what you want of that. This one is from Tux. Private anonymous currency getting too popular? Can't let that happen. Shut it down. And this is Monero dropping. Yeah, but whatever. It's gonna come back. And we gotta go for the highs. Hopefully we can break it soon in 2026. What KYC, and somebody wrote in the comments, what KYC exchanges list Monero? Kraken, MEXC, DEX, Bolognex, and KuCoin. Oh, KuCoin. Oh, wow, I didn't know they have it. I haven't used it in a long time. Now, lastly, we're going to talk about the Samurai Tornado Cash situation a bit, and then that'll be it for this week. So in April 2024, two Bitcoin software developers, Keone Rodriguez and William Bill Lonergan Hill, were arrested in their homes in a pre-dawn militarized raid. They have now been sentenced. Please read, bookmark, and share this official support website. This is the support website, and I really love it. Behind every line of code, there's a family, and I have thought about this. It's not just they're in jail, and it's very horrible, but people have a life. And families, aspirations, dreams, and it's a long time. I think it's 5 years, right? It's a long time. So sign a petition, donate to the families if you can. This is dumb. And then Bill and Keone aren't faceless crypto criminals. They're passionate software engineers with families, hobbies, and a deep commitment to digital privacy rights. Here's a closer look. and then I'm going to read about both of them. First, about William, a 67-year-old talented software developer with deep roots in New York. Bill co-founded Samurai Wallet after working with Keone. He's not just a coder, he's an innovator who poured over a decade into creating non-custodial tools that empower users without controlling their funds. His passion highlights the human side of tech and an unrelenting passion for fundamental privacy rights. And then a bit about Keone, a 37-year-old American software developer from Florida. Keone co-founded Samurai Wallet in 2015 to promote Bitcoin privacy. He's a dedicated innovator who built tools used by everyday people to protect their financial data. As a family man, Keone's work stemmed from a belief in personal freedom. He's fighting for a more private world for all of us. Yeah, so if you can, sign and donate. It's very sad over just pure stupidity. But that's how the world is. Now I have two more from Lola. Yeah, let's go into this one. And I like her post a lot. So a lot of people seem confused as to the consequences of the Samurai Wallet and the Tornado Cash prosecutions, claiming that they deserved what was coming because their software was used by criminals. Which is the people that say that you don't need privacy and all these things, like you got nothing to hide. And I love this analogy. Someone recently made the analogy to Toyota, which will hopefully help some of the critics understand what is going on here. Toyota builds some of the most durable trucks on the planet. Toyota is the car brand of choice for ISIS because of their durability. Toyota knows that ISIS uses its trucks. Toyota never sold trucks to ISIS. By analogy, the US government does not have to prove that Toyota ever actually engaged with criminals who bought their cars. To convict them, it is not that. They knew that criminals were using the cars. They knew that the cars would be attracted to terrorists because of their durability. Conspiracy. I love this comparison. The above points are the main arguments that have led to these convictions. The difference is that for trucks, it is easy for people to understand why others, besides terrorists, may have a use for durability. When it comes to privacy, and especially financial privacy, it is extremely hard, for some reason, for the average mind to comprehend why a normie would want to use these tools, despite less than 10% of volume having been found illicit in both cases. People should not be held accountable for what other people do with the tools they build. Same with knives. Everybody has knives. Some people do choose, unfortunately, to, do very malicious things with it, but most of us don't. So I really love this analogy, and then this next one from her ties into it as well. It talks about the crypto industry's $28 billion, dirty money thing. The New York Times talked about it. But if you get, so they talk a lot about how the criminals use crypto to launder and so much money and billions of dollars and all these things. But when you account of just the totality of transactions, it's actually not a lot. It's not a lot. And then how much crime is being conducted in the US dollar? Just immense amount of money. You can't even compare. But of course, they take these things, which is $28 billion is a lot of money, but in comparison to the totality of the transactions, it's not that much. It's still significant. There should still be no crime, but for that you need to actually take some action, as in try to better the economy and the overall education of the country, so that crime doesn't happen as much. But yeah, so let's go into this article. The ICIJ has published a series of articles on Bitcoin's use in money laundering, and it mainly operates from the premise that any transaction that is operated without KYC AML is suspicious of a crime. These are dangerous generalizations that leave absolutely zero room for the fact that every person has a right to and legitimate use of privacy, and that the assumption of said right should not put a target on my back if we value to live in a democracy. Throughout the series, the journalists assume that KYC AML does, in fact, stop criminals from making transactions in the financial system, while the only instances of criminals transferring funds were found on centralized exchanges like Binance, which have KYC AML in place. Actually, yeah, there's many cases in which criminals just go back into these centralized exchanges and try to pull out the money, which is so dumb. God. Are crypto-to-cash services useful for money laundering? Sure, but they are also useful to people who cannot afford a bank account, activists who live under oppressive regimes, or women who experience domestic violence. There's it helps a lot of people. You can transfer money around the world when you can. And I've seen, I read posts on Reddit about people in Africa that would mine crypto and make a nice income from it. There's so many use cases. Not just money laundering and it's all bad and blah, blah. Yet the New York Times, which was involved in the investigation, titles that it identified $28 billion in illicit funding, painting it as a systemic dirty money problem, a number presented without a context. Because if you look at it, well, 28 billion, that's a lot, but let's look into the context. When it is put into context, it quickly becomes clear that what these publications have identified here is not so much a systemic problem than an absolute niche in the industry, which did over 18 trillion in volume in 2024 alone. I wonder what it's going to be for 2025, meaning that the publications identified a mere 0.15% of global cryptocurrency funds to be illicit. And this is just in crypto. Just think about Forex. That's a lot of money. Just trillions of dollars every day being rotated, moving around. So this is not much. It's still, it's a lot. 28 billion is a lot of money. But so if anything, this investigation proves that Bitcoin has a much lesser money laundering problem than any other financial industry in history. Robbers, scammers, and human traffickers should be held accountable for their crimes. Absolutely. Demonizing an entire sector on baseless claims is not going to make it happen. Sure, it is interesting, though, that this misleading framing is published right as Congress is debating how to regulate non-custodial services. Yeah, so these are big topics. But just let's go a couple, 5 years in the future or 10, and then now we can't make any transactions over €1,000, $1,000 without reporting it, and everything is reported. Now they know everything. There's a digital euro, digital dollar. Every single transaction is going to be monitored. Do you think that there's going to be less crime, and the whole world is going to be benevolent and all these things? No, I don't think so. It may become even more violent when people are going to realize how they're being tracked and how in the future they can't go to that country or whatever because digital IDs, and they haven't been a good citizens, and now their social credit dropped, which they already have in China, which is insane. So yeah, they can put all these things in place. No privacy, or some privacy, but it's really no privacy what they want to give you. And yeah, there's gonna be no crime. Sure, we'll see, but that's not gonna happen. XMR supporting anti-war, love it. Yeah. All right, guys. So this was a new section. I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of good stuff to talk about every week. Yeah, it doesn't get boring at all in this space. There's always things to talk about. Running Man 2025. Yep. All right. So, Tux.
All right, Tony. Thank you very much. Sorry, 1 second. My headphone is.
Yep.
I think the cable's going bad. Oh well. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tony.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
To the Americans. Hopefully, have a nice dinner, and we'll see you guys next weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I'll bring everyone else up for a few minutes if you want to talk about anything else, and then I'll probably end it up in around 20 more minutes here. If anyone else is still there.
Dude, that ghost trip idea is a really good idea. I'm looking at it right now. Like making it easy for people to dollar cost average into stuff, and that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I'd have to see how it works exactly. I'd have to look into it, but
I just went to ghoststrip.xyz. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Especially for a normie, you just get a little bit of computer literacy, and then you just kind of set it and forget it. It's brilliant.
Well, I think I'll go ahead and end it out here.
One question before we keep going, because I would like to know what Bawdy thinks about this. Do you think that that last news story, like, you know, with fund investors and stuff, do you think that might be a trigger for Bitcoin's first mover advantage to start degrading? Because then if you look at, you know, the Bitcoin dominance chart and you kind of think of it in terms of it was losing dominance just generally, and then in 2023 it recaptured a lot of that first to market value, especially with the institutional investors and all of that stuff. I wonder if this is like the first symptom of it losing its dominance as a first mover.
I think Bawdy might have left already, or BAFK.
What do you think?
I have no comment, sorry. That's definitely a Bawdy question. We do have, let's see, make sure I bring up these super chats. We got Short Brave Surfer Tip 0001 XMR. Remember that Rediswap gave new fees on their FAQ on their site? Yeah, I know they were switching at some point. Nilsip 0.0012 to the XMR. Yeah, let's make knives illegal since some criminals use it for nefarious purposes. I don't know, find something else to cut your steaks with. The Ultra Master Incredible. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I think I'll go ahead and end up here since I think everyone else is basically AFK except for you asking on.
We'll see you all at Monerotopia.
Yes, thanks for everyone for coming on. And get your Monerotopia tickets now at Monerotopia.com. And we will see you all next week.
God bless everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget